a city known as much for its stock yards as its stock cars, Fort Worth, Texas welcomes us back to Texas Motor Speedway and back to the Nationwide Series season. A season so far dominated by surprises and the resurgence of familiar faces in old places. And young guns not only stealing the show, but making it their own. Who will own the trophy after this one tonight? Sit down, stay a while, because nothing is bigger than a Friday night under the lights in Texas. It is good to be back. After a 2-week break, it is a pleasure to welcome you to NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown. It is a prime-time showdown in Texas. And inside the ESPN pit studio, I am Nicole Briscoe alongside, I affectionately say this, my three Stooges.
Early.
Yes. Still Jared, Brad Doherty, and one Marty Smith down there in the end. I don't know about anyone else, but I truly enjoy vacations, time away from work, and that's exactly what these teams and these drivers had the last couple of weeks. It was a time to catch their breath, to get caught up, and to maybe get away from everything for a while.
Well, yeah, and I don't really like it coming so early, in particularly for the young people. You're talking about Cole Witt, Austin Dillon, Joanna Long, and even Danica Patrick. I think to have some consistency at the beginning of the year, getting maybe halfway through the season, and then having a break would be more beneficial, because I just think it's too early, and you can lose momentum just as easily as you can gain momentum.
Yeah, but I think this break served a lot of these people on these race teams well. The truck drivers, some of the crew people, they really needed this break. I hope the drivers didn't just take a break. I hope they got some time away. Hopefully they were out testing, especially these teams that really need to get on board with their programs a little bit more, that they utilize this time very well to make themselves better as they get here tonight.
It absolutely benefited Justin Allgaier. I had a long conversation with him this morning in the garage area, and he told me he needed this break, in his opinion, worse than any driver in the field, because they have been very fast. They just have nothing to show for it on paper, but he does agree with you.
Yeah.
He said the first break should come around race 18.
Sure.
You mentioned testing, and Kyle Busch Motorsports did get a chance. They went out and tested in Nashville with their new driver, and I say new because Kyle Busch is out. He's not in the car this weekend. Kurt Busch is in, so it's Kurt Busch driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports. And Brad, I know that you don't necessarily like this. You think there are too many layers to this situation, because when you look at it, you've got the driver and the owner, the driver who's also the driver, and then you've got the brother who's the brother who's driving for his brother.
It just becomes that. It becomes this just cauldron of information. And how do you deal with it as an owner? How does Kyle Busch deal with this situation? One of the hardest things as a professional athlete is to overcome themes. People talk about LeBron James. Well, he can't make the big shot at the end of the game. They talk about Tony Romo. He can't lead his team through the playoffs. So you're always fighting against that. The thing we're talking about now in this Nationwide Series is Kurt Busch's nationwide effort. What's happening with it? Why isn't this the success there that we normally see with Kurt Busch?
Kyle Busch.
That starts to weigh on you after a while, and it can become a distraction. That's what would concern me.
Well, Kyle Busch has to be looking to the future, because this is a huge undertaking for anyone, especially whenever you basically have another job that's your main job.
Yep.
But he has the right person in place in Mike Beam to make all of this work. It's just going to take some time. But I think the one thing that they're going to realize, they needed this break certainly to work on some new cars, get some testing done, but they're going to find out that something that's going to hamper them is not having that association with a Cup team. Yeah, they've got some information, bits and pieces here and there, but not being affiliated right there with them is going to hamper
and
their
having
effort.
to spin to try to keep up.
That's right.
Is unbelievable.
I had a long conversation with Mike Beam today, too, and I'm going to tell you guys something. That guy looks tired, and he should be tired. Here's what he told me. He said, quote, "Expectation will kill us. It will destroy us, and we must have patience to build this program." Don't forget, they're still building cars. They only started in mid-December, so they have a lot of ground to make up. They're making speed now, though.
And I do find it interesting because Kurt Busch said that he has the upper hand in this relationship because he's talking to his little brother. He acknowledges they have an agenda, but they hope that their agenda isn't tested this weekend, Vince, in their first outing together as teammates.
Well, let's talk about that dynamic. How is the dynamic between little brother, the car owner, and big brother, the driver this weekend, Kurt?
It's been great. You know, it just reminds me of the days when we ran Legend Cars, and we sat there and talked about the setup afterwards. And I hadn't been in a driver debrief with Kyle ever. as far as being here at the NASCAR top levels. So it's just neat to get out there, belt up, and race for brother, because I've raced for guys like Roush or Penske, big names, James Finch, and here it is. It's Kyle Busch Motorsports. So it's a big day to go out there and have fun, and hopefully with Monster Energy and all their guests here, we're going to have a big night here in Texas.
You haven't spent a lot of time in the Nationwide car. What's been the dynamic of trying to find that balance of getting comfortable in the Nationwide car after so much time in the Cup car?
Yeah, this is my first time on an oval, not a restrictor plate race like I ran at Daytona, but first time on an oval in a Nationwide car since '07. So the rules have changed with the tapered spacer, the extra downforce that's on these cars. I mean, we were so close to wide open all the way around. I was like, what is going on? So a whole different feel, and I have a lot to learn when they drop the green flag tonight as well.
First time he ever drove a Nationwide car in a race was right here at Texas Motor Speedway. Nicole, he took it to victory lane.
Yep, that was back in 2006, and since then, Kurt Busch has only been in a Nationwide car 13 other times. Tonight is his 14th race in the Nationwide Series.
You heard him say it right there, Nicole. Another thing that Mike Beam told me that I found really interesting is that Kurt he's basically a rookie here. He has no experience, and he has to learn again how to drive this car. The thing that's really confusing, Kurt, is that there's really no corner entry. DJ, you can speak to this. Normally in a Cup car, you have to lift out of the throttle entering the corner. You don't do that in the Nationwide car. You just stand in it, and that's a new feel for Kurt. It's tough for him right now.
Yeah, let me clarify what I was talking about as far as being concerned. When you're talking about Kurt and Kyle Busch, you're talking about two of the greatest racers of all time. These guys are tremendously talented, and we've seen both of these guys. That candle burns awful hot because they're so competitive, and I think that's what will push them over the edge, not being super competitive.
Expectations will kill them, but they want to win.
They want to win.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they didn't care, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that this track is an experienced track because those two drivers, they've won 6 times at this track. And Nationwide Series regulars are 3 for 22 when it comes to getting the win here. But that speaks to how difficult this place is.
Yeah, it is really difficult. But tonight, running under the lights, it's going to mask a lot of handling problems that you could encounter on a day where it might be 100 degrees with the track temperature. So that's going to help a lot of these ones that don't have as much experience, these drivers and teams, to be able to compete here tonight. So I look for these Nationwide drivers to continue what we've seen over the last 8 races. Going back to last year, Nationwide regulars have won 6 of these races. Yeah. I think they've got a great shot here tonight. You've got Justin Allgaier right here.
Yeah.
You got Elliott Sadler, certainly,
right.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. There's a lot of people that can continue this.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, DJ. And the thing that's interesting to me is you come to this racetrack, we all know it's super fast. And with the tapered spacer on these Nationwide cars, I was talking to Casey Kane. I said, how do you manage the speeds and the corner speeds here? He says, listen, the young guys, now Casey's an old, gray-headed guy now. He said the young guys will go very, very hard initially. And some of these guys will try to run laps almost wide open around this racetrack. But as that tire starts to fall off, they start to come back to the field. He said the veteran guy is going to go a little bit easier and have tires left as they go forward. So it's really thinking about what you're doing. But these cats are hauling the heat around this racetrack.
I got a
like
question
Harry
for you
Hogg
guys.
said in Days of Thunder, your way, my way.
How's that? I do have a question for you guys. What makes a good relationship? Chemistry, communication. You may think I'm talking about a marriage. I'm not. I'm talking about a driver and his crew chief. And we'll talk about that driver and his crew chief coming up
You ain't
next.
talking about my marriage.
Oh, you are in trouble.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown is brought to you by Ameriprise Financial. More within reach.
They say a great crew chief driver combination is like a good marriage. Truth is, it's harder, more intense. When it works, it really works. But just like any marriage, you better hang on to the magic as long as you can.
So by that definition, I guess Elliott Sadler and Luke Lambert are like newlyweds. They do have that nice little glow, don't they? Well, call it whatever you want. They are having, at least right now, one very happy marriage.
I don't like pointing fingers. I'd rather take all the blame myself. We struggled as a team, as an organization. When I drove the 19 car, we just were not getting it done.
Man, I couldn't even keep up right there. So bad. Yeah, we're done. We're done.
And then last year, not winning races.
It's been a year of almosts and missed opportunities for Sadler.
Well, as far as goals achieved, we did not reach our goal. Our goal as a race team was to win the championship.
I felt like Elliott was the right kind of guy for an opportunity that I needed. As far as having the talent and ability to be a championship race car driver.
Richard sat down with me and talking about switching things up. His maybe lack of experience and maybe my a lot of experience that I have kind of was a good mesh together, and when Richard really sold me on that.
Going into the weekend, Elliott said, you know, this has just not historically been one of our best racetracks.
Yellow, 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 yellow.
Yellow flag here, very timely for the race leaders.
You have to go for 4 with what we've seen so far?
You don't have to.
When the opportunity presented itself in the race for us to do 2 tires, I was able to speak with Elliott about it over the radio briefly.
We're going to do what we did early in the race, but we're going to do it different with the fuel, make it work this time.
He said, 10-4, I got it, and had full confidence that we knew what we were doing.
Sadler out in front. Luke Lambert, he just kind of rolled the dice a little bit.
And it all worked out.
Sadler wins it.
Hell yeah, baby! Yeah!
It was the biggest relief. When I pulled in victory lane and could see my guy standing there beside the car, that's one of the best feelings I've had in a long time.
It was really neat to see Elliott because, you know, I think that was a big monkey off his back. Experience can limit you sometimes. And I think that the best crew chiefs in this sport, they do a good job of not letting their experience limit them.
When you can win a race with each other and you can look each other in the eye and say, we are successful with each other, we did win together, just takes you to a whole nother trust level. Yep, exactly. We won last week. Whatever you want to do this week, I'm with you. And that's the kind of attitude we have right now.
Kyle Busch gets into the fence. It's our 4th caution of the day.
The thing that we knew we had to do is start in the outside line to get the restart that we needed.
Do whatever the 6 does not do.
I think everybody's hit it.
Hey, Elliott, this won't be the first race you won like this, buddy. You do it.
I think that was a little bit of confidence that he needed to be reminded of. We've got a good situation in our hands.
The strategy call got him track position, and he did the rest.
Elliott starting to see things operating smoothly is helping him, you know, be confident. We knew he could win races before the season started. He knows that, and starting to kind of see it all unfold is, I think, helping us all work together better.
I think us winning early as a team, because we are a new team, has just solidified our group as a core group. I needed this as a driver, and I think Luke needed this as a crew chief. We both are fighting for the same thing. We want people to know that we belong in this sport, we're competitive in this sport, and we're going to be winners in this sport. I think that makes us a pretty dangerous pair.
Dangerous pair, a dangerous combination that is at least working for now. Now for an example of a combination that apparently wasn't working. Cole Whitt and Tony Eury Sr. In 5 races, they combined for 2 top 10s, and they were 6th in points. But over the break, a change at Junior Motorsports. 6th in points, not good enough. Out is Tony Eury Sr. Bruce Cook is now in as the crew chief. And to sit here and say, yeah, we saw that coming, that's a lie. We didn't, because I remember in California, we're like, well, that's a cool combination of old and new and young and old. This is kind of out of the blue.
Yeah, it probably was for everyone, but I think that's what good teams and good people do. They don't air their laundry out for everyone to know that things might not be as, you know, hunky-dory as what we thought it was. And everybody saying, we're okay, but they have a responsibility to a young driver, Cole Whitt, to give him everything that he needs, and as a race team and to their sponsor to give them even more. So if they're even thinking about a change, now is the time to make all of that happen. You don't need to wait 3 or 4 more races down the road. You know, you're still in a championship battle. You can make it happen.
Well, Tony Eury Sr., Pops as we call him, he's been around racing for 50 years, and he is a solid linchpin of that foundation over at Junior Motorsports, without question. So he'll go back into the fold and be very, very valuable to them. Bruce will come in, and it's just like a coaching change. I think that new voice will be good for Cole Whitt. New ideas. It gives him the opportunity to go out and maybe bring the best out of a young race car driver. Not that Tony Eury Sr. couldn't do it, but I think it's a good change. And it's not a change just to be making one. It's a change for the better, I do believe.
It's a necessary change because it flat wasn't working. The communication between the two was basically non-existent from what I understand in speaking with the team. And I did talk today to Cole Whitt for a while in the garage, and he told me that, first of all, this decision proves to him the commitment that Junior Motorsports has in him, that they want him to succeed. And one reason that Bruce Cook is great for him already, even though they've only been together just a short time, is that Cole is a very mechanical driver, and Bruce Cook tells him what he's doing and exactly why he's doing it, and he appreciates that as a driver.
New ideas and essentially a new day for Cole Whitt. Mike?
Thanks, Nicole. And Cole Witt has had a couple of days to adjust to the new crew chief. How's the transition gone?
It's been good so far. I mean, it's been a good deal so far. I mean, the hardest part is coming to the racetrack. And, the first time you work with a guy is, you got to establish your lingo and everything. And, it just kind of comes all the way down to, like, the point where you're like, when you talk about how tight or how free the car is, how tight is my tight compared to his and, versus loose and everything. So it's just kind of more than anything establishing our lingo and, exactly what we're working on. But he's done a great job, and, I'm really excited about how good we've run. So, great qualifying effort with our, our Tax Slayer car. It's just ready to go racing. I know we got a good race car.
Good luck tonight.
All right, thank you.
Time now to check in with Dave Burns, who's with the other driver affected by the crew chief change.
And that would be Dale Earnhardt Jr., owner of Junior Motorsports. The swap was made for what reason in your mind, Junior?
Well, we just wanted to try something different, see what what would happen, and whether we could get some more success as a company. I think we needed to do better and be stronger, and so we made the change and we'll see what will happen. I think. We'll just have to give it a couple weeks, really. I know Cole qualified rather well this weekend or tonight, but we got to give it a few weeks, really, to see whether it makes much difference. But I'm enjoying working with Pops. He's a lot of fun to be around, and miss working with him. And so we're going to have some fun tonight. The degree car's been a little bit of a handful, but we'll see what we got for him tonight.
He's talking handful. He starts 20th. It'll be nice to have that familiar voice of Pops on the box for him. Nicole?
Guys, thanks. Okay, quick show of hands. Who agrees with the change right now? I have no opinion.
I want to see Cole Witt's ID, though. He's got to be like 12 or 13 years old, man.
Maybe.
He don't look
Maybe
no
14.
I got to see his ID.
So in golf, the crew chief is kind of like the caddy, kind of, maybe. Yeah. And Denny Hamlin earlier this week got to play a quick round of golf with his good friend and eventual Masters champion buddy, Bubba Watson. Take a look at this. Bubba.
We were playing golf one day, and I said, "Hey, do you want to loop for me?" And he said, "Man, I'd love to."
It's interesting how much work there is. You're constantly cleaning the club, making sure the ball's clean, and it's a job.
He misclubbed me on the first hole, but ever since then, he's getting better. He wasn't very good. He needs to stick to racing. He can only turn left, so I don't know if he can even go right. Golf ball goes left when he's hitting it.
Trying to get my game to where I can at least play Bubba and be, competitive.
He can shoot in the mid-80s. But he begs for strokes all the time.
It's been a great friendship we've had over these last couple of years, and obviously it's growing.
He can only turn left. You're our resident golfer. Is that what they say about you when you're out there?
No, I'm equally as bad to the right, so I can get it way out of play in both ways.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. I know you've got to get across the track. You're calling the race with the guys upstairs, so go on, get on out of here.
I'm going. Looking forward to this.
Thank you. The NBA's two biggest markets play host on ABC's Sunday Showcase. At 1, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and the Heat roll into the Big Apple for a matchup with Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks. And then at 3:30, it's the Lakers aiming for a season sweep against Dirk and the Mavs. The NBA Sunday on ABC. And coming up next, this may be an experience track, but this is an opportunity weekend. Why that plays into the hands of one Danica Patrick. Coming up next. Bubba, I like it. How can you not cheer for him?
Bubba from Baghdad, Florida.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway, race 6 of the Nationwide Series season, coming up in 24 minutes. But first, it was a big week for the gentleman that normally sits directly to my left. Rusty Wallace, who is a Sprint Cup Series champion, the winner of 55 races, and considered one of the 50 greatest of all time, is now a nominee for the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And to my friend and colleague, I say congratulations, sir.
55 wins. I talked to R-Dub one night. He said he's won over 200 races and has one of the best throws of all time in sports, Jack.
You know what? He's also a genuinely wonderful guy. I really like that guy. But I'll tell you where he got shafted. That was an Oscar-worthy performance in Days of Thunder. Man, he had that steely eye and that sweet throw just hanging.
Seriously? How am I supposed to move on after that? Okay. So anyway, this race is a bit of an opportunity, and here's why. The 5 drivers, wow, Oscar, have combined to win the last 11 races here. Not a single one of them is in the race this evening. And then, yes, that includes Trevor Bayne, who heading into this day is fourth in points. He is not here because of sponsorship opportunities, not with his car. Now, that's the drivers who are not here. How about the list of drivers who are here this weekend? Are you ready for this? Paul Menard, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, David Reagan, all the Nationwide Series regulars. I'm sorry, that's kind of an all-star race.
No, I agree. At first, I thought it was going to be just a super opportunity for a Nationwide regular. But, hey, we switched some studs for some more studs. So you're going to have to step up. But I still think this is a good opportunity for someone like Danica Patrick, who's really struggled this year. She qualified pretty well around 17th. So maybe she can get up tonight and get her a good top 10 finish and get that program going in the direction that we thought it would be going this year.
Well, let's talk to her. She's standing by, Danica that is, with our Jamie Little.
Well, she's coming off her first DNF 2 weeks ago in Fontana, Danica. And yesterday you said, you know, I'm tired of putting so much pressure on myself. I just want to have fun again. With everything considered, how do you do that?
It's a little difficult because, you know, you want to do well for yourself. I want to do well for GoDaddy. I want to do well for the team who works their butt off. So, you know, sometimes it gets to you, and I want to do well for the fans. But, you know, every now and again, you just have a little, it's like any other athlete in a sport. Sometimes you just go on a little spell where you just, one way or another, whether it's something that you did or something that you didn't do, things just don't go well for a while. So there's no point in dwelling on it. There are so many races in this series. So and the reason why I came over to NASCAR is because I had so much fun doing it, and there's no reason to lose that. So yeah, I've been having a good time here in Texas. The car's been pretty good so far, and other than qualifying, to be honest, we just got a little conservative and tightened it up. And of course, it was tight in qualifying. So I'm confident that we'll be better off in the race, and how much we'll see. But as long as the thing turns in the center, we'll be all right.
All right, she'll roll off 17th. Mike?
And Jamie, a guy who has a very fast race car is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Roush Fenway has won the last 3 nationwide races here in Texas. Will you make it 4 in a row?
Looks like we're going to be the only opportunity to. So bummer Trevor's not running with us, but definitely think we got a shot at it. Our Pure Michigan Mustang's been fast all weekend. We were quickest in both practices, missed the pole by a little bit there, so got a little work to do, but I think we can do it. Just got to thank Nationwide Insurance for keeping on, putting on this great series that we're able to race in, and glad that we can put on a show for the fans. We're having a lot of fun this year.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Nicole, as you heard him say, the fastest in both practices this weekend so far. He's got a bullet.
And fans, you can check out Race Buddy. It is enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more camera views than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. So here we are after a 2-week break. It's a little bit of a reset button. Some people have a chance to keep it going, like Elliott Sadler. Other people have a chance to maybe turn it around a little bit.
I think, in speaking with Allgaier today, he's the guy that really needs to turn it around. He told me that when you start badly on paper, it really ratchets the pressure up dramatically. You feel like you have to dig out of a hole. He needs a solid run tonight.
Elliott Sadler's the guy to beat all year. If that 2 car is as good as that 3 car when it rolls out of the shop every week, Elliott Sadler's the man to beat.
And we will find out if either of these gentlemen are right. 200 laps coming up next from Texas. Do not go away.
Everything comes bigger in Texas. You know, that's not just to say. It's hard, fast track, big track, big speed, big guts. And the payoff? Oh, yeah, that's even bigger. Like Texas speed.
It is a big prize for NASCAR Nationwide Series drivers. A win at the Great American Speedway, the Texas Motor Speedway. One driver will earn the right to claim that prize on a fast Friday night in Fort Worth. We go down to pit road. Here's Dave Burns.
AB, in Texas, it doesn't matter if you play on asphalt or artificial turf. These fans love their sports under the Friday night lights. The speeds seem faster. The hits, they seem to come harder. And the winners, they're absolutely shining brighter. Tonight, here at the Texas Motor Speedway, under the Friday night lights, if you want to take aim at the end zone or the finish line, you're going to love your sports here under the lights tonight. Alan?
Very nice, David. And one other twist on this night. It's Friday the 13th. The 5th time the NASCAR Nationwide Series is raced on Friday the 13th. And do you know, the last 2 times, there was a last lap pass for the win. We can only hope for the same at the end of 300 miles tonight. Been a long day for these crews. The first practice session began at 10 a.m. local time this morning, but now the drivers, the teams, the crews, they're all ready to get down to business and go racing after the opening ceremony.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Shepherd Air Force Base Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Texas Motor Speedway track chaplain Father Jay Atwood offers tonight's invocation.
Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. We give you thanks for the freedoms we enjoy in this country and the men and women who defend those freedoms every day around the world. We give you thanks for the thrill of motorsport racing, for all who make it possible, the promoters, the sponsors, the teams, the drivers, their crews. And Lord, as we go racing, we ask for your safety and protection to be with each of the competitors. Allow them to do what they do to the best of their ability. And remind us what we do to your honor and glory. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
And here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Texas Motor Speedway Radio Contest winner, Jessica Bailey.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red flame, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it for Jessica for her performance of our national anthem, and a special thanks to the T-45 Tigers from Training Squadron 9 out of Naval Air Station Meridian for tonight.
Well done. On a beautiful night in Fort Worth, Texas, 75 degrees, wonderful conditions for the drivers to finally climb aboard their cars and buckle in. It's been a couple of weeks for these Nationwide Series regulars since they've raced last, and they are more than anxious to get going tonight with race number 6 of the 2012 season. ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series continues from Fort Worth, Texas tonight. Alan Bestwick with former Texas race winner Dale Jarrett and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. Looking at the night, I kind of came up with a theme of wide open. First of all, wide open racetrack. It's fast. More on that in a second. Second, wide open as to who's going to win. If you tried to pick a favorite or even make a list of favorites here, it'd have to be a long list.
Yeah, more than we can put up on this screen right now, but here are 5 drivers that have done very well here, have a lot of experience, and I think that certainly our winner could come from this. And you look at the last 2 there that haven't won here yet. Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano. Joe Gibbs Racing seems to have found some magic as Logano won at California a few weeks ago.
And a couple that are not on this list is Brad Keselowski, that 22 car. We know he's strong, been strong every week. And Paul Menard in the 33 car, Richard Childress. On the pole for this race, that car's been strong. All the Childress cars have been strong. And then you got the nationwide only drivers in Ricky Stenhouse and Elliott Sadler in yet another RCR car. So it's going to be anybody's race tonight.
A wide open list of potential winners for this race at Texas Motor Speedway tonight. And that means it's going to be fun. Now, the other aspect on that wide open storyline is speed. Look at the qualifying speeds from the NASCAR Nationwide Series from last season, and you'll find this Texas track had the second fastest pole lap. And by the way, down the bottom there, no shabby 181.7 mile an hour qualifying speed for tonight's pole sitter, Paul Menard. speed at this racetrack, how does it affect the driver in the car?
Yeah, you have to be really committed as a driver, especially in these nationwide cars. You're going to be in the gas a lot. This racetrack is rough. It has some bumps in some places that are going to be upsetting to you as a driver. You have to negotiate through that and really work hard tonight for these 150 laps. So they have a lot at stake and a lot at hand in trying to negotiate this and make it all work. And, oh, yeah, by the way, as this race goes on, this track cools off, this is only going to get faster, so they have to do more work at the end.
And it's going to be tougher strategy, too, because as this track ages, you talked about that, Dale, it loses a little bit of that grip, and that tire goes away a little quicker. So it's going to be a strategy call for the crew chiefs to keep their drivers up front. And when it counts, they've only got 4 sets of tires in the pits.
A little late twist of plot on Friday the 13th. Could it be? I think so. We're getting ready to go racing for the NASCAR Nationwide Series in Fort Worth, Texas. The engines fire next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series in Texas is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Call now to get a quote.
We're here. Ready for a fast Friday night under the lights at Texas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Before the engines fire, to pit road and Mike Massaro.
2 weeks ago, Joey Logano flat out dominated in California. He led the most laps, he won the pole, and of course, went to victory lane. The team's confidence extremely high. Crew Chief Adam Stevens says he feels like they hit on something there that should carry over into tonight. He also told me they were not this strong at any intermediate track all of 2011. Their confidence is high that they can go to victory lane once again. Time now to go trackside.
Now, race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome your Grand Marshal, owner of AAMCO, Alan Nurenberg.
Drivers, start your engines!
Start your car. They're solid. Start them up. Start it.
Dave.
Just so I'm clear, start the race with the right front arm.
I always think of what I think of fun, but it's like backpack.
We are ready for racing tonight in the O'Reilly 300 here at Texas Motor Speedway. Fans, remember to check out Race Buddy, enhanced coverage for select NASCAR Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. Our ESPN in-race reporter tonight is the defending NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion. He has the pleasure and the pressure of being the driver chosen by Richard Childress to bring the famous number 3 back to the track. Something that 21-year-old Austin Dillon actually asked his grandfather, RC, to do.
Austin said, well, Pop, I want to use your number. I said, Austin, that was my number, but Dale made the number famous. He says, well, it's still your number. I want to run your number. So how are you going to tell your grandkid no to something?
Isn't that pretty? Texas Motor Speedway sparkling on a beautiful April evening as the NASCAR Nationwide Series cars roll off the pit lane and out onto this fast mile-and-a-half track set for 300 miles of racing. Lined up on the outside of row number 2 is our ESPN in-race reporter for the night, Austin Dillon. What a start it has been for his rookie NASCAR Nationwide Series season. For the 21-year-old, he's got top 5 finishes in 3 of the first 5 races and one of only 2 drivers to finish in the top 12 in every race so far this year. Austin Dillon, ready to go and ready to talk to us.
Hey, Austin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Okay, Skipper, we're going to run 4,200 all green. 4,200 all green, and we'll be right on.
Hey, Austin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir, I got you.
All right, Austin, thanks for talking with us tonight. Hey, I know you have some experience here in the truck series, but as a young driver and a rookie coming here in these cars, I know they're totally different. How difficult is it for you to get the information you need to your crew chief to get your car ready to win tonight?
Well, adjustments are going to be key today, especially as the track temp drops. We think we've set our car up for the long run, so we'll just have to go and adjust and make the right decisions when we come down pit road. And that's the part of being a rookie. We'll just have to really communicate well, and I think we'll have something for them at the end in the American Ethanol Chevy.
Well, you've done that so far. Austin, our next question comes from our mailbag, and Buck in Statesville, North Carolina asks, when you hear Richard Childress on your radio, do you hear your car owner or your grandfather?
sometimes it's hard to, I guess, is a happy medium with that. He's a car owner and my grandpa, so I have to take his experience and really look over it and make sure it's the right thing to do, and it helps for sure. I'm glad he's over there helping me, and his experience is hard to beat.
Hey, Austin, you have a great night. Thanks for talking with us. Now, Andy's going to talk to your grandfather, Richard Childress.
How about it, Richard? It's Andy in the booth. You have a copy?
Hey, Andy, yeah, I got you, buddy.
Hey, man, we know we see this number 3 on this car now out here in the Nationwide Series. We know how it was made famous. But how did you come up on that number when you ran it? Most people don't realize what a wheel man you were.
Thank you, Andy. I talked to Ray Fox and Junior Johnson that ran, Charlie Glotchback's son, talked to him and talked to the people, and they let me have it. And I grew up running for quite a few years. Ricky Rudd running, and Dale Earnhardt made it famous. And tonight, Austin's going to be running it, and Ty's going to be running it at Rockingham. So it's a family deal.
Well, Richard, I know what a hands-on owner you are because I've worked for you, and I got to think that you're pretty hands-on with that Nationwide Series team. How much focus do you put on that?
Well, we all at RCR knows our bread and butter is the Cup, and to ever get Austin top there, we know we got to be good, we got to be competitive, and we got to run the Cup cars good. But I do watch these kids, him and his brother Ty. I'll be in Rockingham Sunday.
Yeah, I know you're going to be watching every lap tonight. Good luck, and thanks for talking to us, Richard.
Thanks, Andy.
Richard Childress certainly has been a force in this NASCAR Nationwide Series as a team owner, a part of 5 championships. Kevin Harvick winning 2 as a driver, Clint Boyer as well, and Childress winning the owner's points, the team championship on 2 other occasions as well.
Yeah, got a good start at it this year, too.
Yes, he does. And the rear tire changer for Austin Dillon is going to carry our over-the-wall camera tonight. Jeremy West of Gardena, California, home to a once famous racetrack, Ascot Park. But he was probably too young to go there. He's ready to go. Yeah? Have a great night. All right? We appreciate it. And the rest of our high-definition onboard cameras tonight. And we've got a lot of, we talk about potential winners. Got a lot of them. Elliott Sadler, the Chevy camera. Austin Dillon, the American Ethanol camera. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the Degree on board. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with Ford EcoBoost. Danica Patrick and the GoDaddy.com camera. Brian Scott, the Nationwide Insurance camera. Casey Kane with a Goodyear camera. And Ryan Truex, the Nationwide Insurance camera. A lot of potential in that group tonight.
Absolutely.
So, 1.5-mile track, 300 miles is 200 laps. That pit window, first stops will come earlier, if we go green, earlier than 50. And we get to late in the race, and that 55 number might be a little low.
Yeah, they might try to push that a little bit. That first stop comes early because they've had qualifying on the fuel tank and they've got all these pace laps.
A couple of weeks since these guys have driven, they run by themselves in practice. Little anxiousness here for some of these guys?
Yeah, a few more butterflies than what they had when they had that 5-race stretch, but they'll settle in here quickly.
Race number 6 at Texas, underway. Paul Menard squeezes up in front of Denny Hamlin and takes the lead off turn 2, 33 car.
Paul Menard seemed to be the consensus choice of having the best car to win here tonight by everyone that I talked with down in the garage area.
Well, these children's cars have been so strong all year, and Paul, this is just his kind of racetrack. I brought him here for his first nationwide start, and I'm also in the car 33.
Second place. Sorry, Andy. Stenhouse in the 6 by the 18 of Hamlin.
Ricky Stenhouse wanted to make it 4 in a row for Roush Fenway, and he's their only hope here tonight.
Side by side, 8th place here. Joey Logano, most recent winner in the Nationwide Series in the 20, and young Cole Witt in the 88. Right behind them, that 30 car, different driver this week than we've been used to seeing. That's Steve Arpin. Remember, we saw him driving for Dale Jr. a couple of years ago. He did some races for this Turner Motorsports team last year in the Truck Series, and he's got a couple of them lined up with the Turner team, including this one tonight at Texas.
Wow, look at Keselowski up the top. I don't think he wants to be running quite that high.
I don't know in these cars. He was utilizing that in Cup practice earlier today with his Cup car. I'm not sure that these Nationwide cars are ready to get up there and run that high up, I think you just lose too much time up there, especially as the tires are fresh.
For the lead, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
I'll tell you, he's just lightning fast on these mile-and-a-half tracks.
Well, he sure wore the field out, but he waited at Las Vegas towards the end of the race to really get his car right. Looks like he's got it good from the start here tonight.
Roush Fenway Racing so strong in the last few races at this track. Carl Edwards dominated the last few. One of them got away from him at the end. The race here last November, a little strategy that didn't play into his favor, but did play into his teammate Trevor Baynes.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin right there in third. He's always a factor.
Sadler 2, Dillon 3, Kane 38. 4th, 5th, and 6th. Going to be a busy weekend for Casey Kane. He's going to run tonight, going to run the Sprint Cup race tomorrow night, then he's going to go off to Rockingham, North Carolina, and run the Camping World Truck Series event there on Sunday.
Well, he's got his hands full right now, though. See that car wiggling all over the place coming off the corner.
Keselowski 22, Allgaier 31. And here comes Austin Dillon trying to get a spot on his teammate Elliott Sadler. That's 4th place.
Well, we were showing them just half a lap ago. I was noticing how good that 3 car was turning. He really got off the corner really well. Looks like he's set up for a good night right now. I think Austin Dillon's biggest challenge in some of these races, especially the first part of the year, is learning how to adjust his race car as these races progress.
Well, and he told you when you talked to him on the pace laps during our in-race reporter conversation that the adjustments were going to be a big deal tonight as well. The changing track conditions and characteristics as the temperatures cool and so on.
And that really is in the driver's hands. I mean, the crew chief really can't predict what the track's going to do. He can't really tell what it's doing during the race. The driver has to tell him, and the crew chief can't do anything but what the driver wants.
There's some things I'm seeing from Elliott Sadler's 2 car there that we've seen them have some problems with. I see a lot of sparks, a lot more still coming out from under that 2 car. They've had some issues at the bigger tracks, Las Vegas and California, to where they were bottoming out some.
Well, I think the issue is that they do a pretty good job of getting that car down and keeping it down on the racetrack, and that does, if you miss it just a little bit, it can hurt you. I mean, you get down, hard parts of the car start hitting the track, and you lose a lot of grip. But they've done well in recovery. When they have a problem like that, they've recovered well.
Justin Allgaier picking up a spot. 31 car moves up to 12th position. One of those guys talked about earlier that needs to have a good finish tonight. Needs to get it rolling.
Yeah, they've performed well, but they don't have a lot to show from that, and they would like to start getting the results that equal what they're able to do.
And by the way, his team owner's from Texas. This is a big deal to his team owner. Big performance so far for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The defending series champ has run up and taken the lead early in the going tonight at Texas. There's a new chapter in the Angels-Yankees rivalry. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 with Derek Jeter and the Bronx Bombers welcoming Albert Pujols, now a member of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Then Monday night at 7 Eastern, Joe Mauer and the Twins take on Alex Rodriguez and the Yankees. SportsCenter will be seen in New York. Both games available on ESPN, ESPN3, and live on the Watch ESPN app. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is out in front. Early in the going in the O'Reilly 300 at Texas Motor Speedway. But what's different from when we went to the break? The gap between first and second. It's up to 1.7 seconds. There it is. And it's happened when Stenhouse, the leader, did something different on the racetrack than he was doing in the opening laps and than these guys are doing now.
Yeah, you can see the Paul Menard and Denny Hamlin stand right on the bottom. Now Stenhouse was lapping a car there, but he's been up at least a groove and a half, Andy, and he's really picked up the speed.
Yeah, I saw that, especially in 3 and 4. He's running quite a bit higher, carrying that momentum, and I've seen maybe one more car, the 3 car of Austin Dillon, try that. I don't know that Austin has picked up quite as much time.
So while Stenhouse Jr. expands his lead, and we see Menard now moving up in that 33 car, all may not be completely good in the pit of the leader. Jamie, what's up?
Well, Alan, for the last 5 minutes, somebody's radio has been left open, and what that means is the team cannot communicate with their driver, and he can't communicate at all with them. This is what we were hearing on the radio.
I know you're not going to believe it, but I think our radios are breaking up again.
Yes, and
And that right there is what we've heard for the last 5 minutes. But somebody was able to get through to Ricky just now and told him to switch the radio channel, and we heard him for the first time. So that's good news for your leader.
Yeah, that can't be fun to have that kind of noise bouncing around inside your ears at 180 miles an hour.
10-4, can you hear me now?
10-4, really quiet. I got you, though.
All right, 3130, a 47 out back. Last rides look good. I understand you're loose on entry.
That's one of the most aggravating things is those radio problems. It's even, the driver is obvious. It's distracting to him, but you're trying to find where the problem is in the pits. It can be really frustrating and sometimes impossible to find.
I don't know if he took that on his own and didn't know exactly other than looking in his mirror and seeing that distance, those cars going further back from him. He's doing a nice job, but that is aggravating as a driver. And you just try to put it out of your mind the best that you can and do your job, and he's doing his job really well right now.
Going to drop back through the top 10 to just outside of it and find the 12 car of Sam Hornish Jr. There he is, racing with Cole Witt there for a spot. Witt sliding back a little bit. A couple laps ago, watch that red and white 12 car. Wiggle, wobble, wiggle.
Wow.
I think we see this a lot with Sam Hornish's car. I don't know exactly if he tries to make it, if they put in his mind that he has to have it turning so good or that's what he's looking for. But we see him on a regular basis be extremely loose with his race car. What are they saying about that car, Vince?
Hey, believe it or not, he's saying it's a little free from center off. Right?
A little?
But he said he's having trouble getting it to turn down, and they think that might be creating some of the issues from the center off. There you see crew chief Chad Walter, and a lot of high expectations coming into this race this weekend, and it's been a little bit of a struggle so far through practice in the early going today.
I think that's one of the things that they're fighting. I think their expectations are really high, and the car just hasn't performed to the level that they expect it to. And I think Sam's pushing a little bit hard. And we saw this a few weeks ago at California. He struggled with a loose car.
So Hornish there racing with Brian Scott for the 11th and 12th positions. Scott trying to regain some ground lost in that opening scramble, the opening few laps after the initial start. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has opened up a 1.8-second lead on second place Paul Menard. Caution free, but very early in the going tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Hey, the Cowboy Stadium on the horizon. Oh, it just looks that big.
That's the sunset.
Oh, okay. Hey, check out Race Buddy enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy right now. It's the O'Reilly 300 at Texas Motor Speedway on a beautiful Friday evening in Fort Worth. As Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a beautiful evening so far, having led all but 3 of the 30 laps that have been completed. Roush Fenway Racing, having won the last 3 straight here, led 71% of the laps in those last 3 races. And Stenhouse keeping it going right now. As conditions continue to change, track conditions, the sun setting, even though we had an overcast earlier and so on, some drivers are finding it a little easier to adapt to than others, and some drivers are still trying to figure out what it is that their car needs at this racetrack to get the most out of it. One of those would be Danica Patrick in the 7, who started in the 17th position and runs in the 17th position.
Another good corner right there. Just get off his air to keep that nose loaded.
So stupid because we're just falling back.
We're just in the air. If you're tight, just remember your bead blowers like Tony talked about.
Yeah, and that's just things that you have to learn as a driver. You get frustrated at times when you're trying to make passes around here. And just getting a little bit of air to the front of your car will make it drive like a totally different car. And that's just what they're trying to tell her, to be patient and make sure you use all the air that's available to you.
And if you were to pass on some words of encouragement to Danica, it would be that she's 17th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 16th. And Cole Witt has fallen back from where he qualified, which was up in 7th spot. He's fallen back to 13th spot. So the company cars, he's right in there with them.
And that's basically what you have to judge yourself by, is what's coming out of your same stable. And that's really the only thing that she can judge herself by. And right now, it's not that bad. What it shows is, I think, not having a Cup affiliation with that race team shows that they're going to struggle some as they try to make all of these things happen on their own.
Well, they actually have some sort of an affiliation with Hendrick Motorsports. They get engines from there, and I think the door is open for technical support there too, but not being in-house like we saw the Childress teams. You see Austin Dillon right there. They brought that in-house into Childress' shop from Harvick. Harvick did a great job with that team, but we can see the improvement when they brought it in-house. And I think that that just shows you when you integrate these nationwide teams with the Cup teams, it does make a difference. I think that's one of the things that the Junior Motorsports team is struggling with.
Yeah, when I look at the top 10 right now, 8 of them are out of Cup affiliated shops. The only 2 that aren't, Casey Kane, who is a Cup driver, and Justin Allgaier there, who comes from Steve Turner's, and they do a tremendous job. They do get some information there, but they do a tremendous job.
Kane giving up 4th spot there to Austin Dillon, who slides by him in the 3. After the 2 raced pretty hard for that for a few laps.
Well, they've been racing hard the whole race. They've been together just about from the start. Austin pulled away just a little bit there for a few laps, and then Casey was able to catch him back, and now they're having a good little battle going.
Yeah, so Austin tried to move up. I don't think that line worked as good for him. His car seems to really want to go around the bottom of the racetrack. You see now he caught Casey Kane back and passed and pulled him away a little bit.
Andy, we're about to get to the 40-lap mark, caution-free so far. This race last year had only 3 cautions, fewest ever at Texas, and if the pattern continues, we're going to see some green flag pit stops before too long.
Yeah, we will, and we see these lap times have dropped off right at exactly 2 seconds from the fastest lap of the race. So, you know, these new tires are going to make a big difference, and some of these teams really need some adjustments, because when you have tires dropping off that much, it really does accentuate one of the, you know, whichever end of your car that's sliding.
Second place into lap traffic. Neon car, Paul Menard, the red and white 18, Denny Hamlin, as they work their way around Eric Darnell and continue racing.
Yeah, see, Denny Hamlin has now tried to move up. Paul Menard had moved up a little earlier. Now Hamlin has done that. Looks like he's making it work a little bit better. The 33 struggling a little bit, Dave.
He is, DJ. He says, if I hit the corner just right, I'm a little bit free. If I don't, I lose the nose. So what's a driver to do? Hit it just sort of right? The main thing he was encouraged to do was don't abuse that right rear tire. Just take care of that until we get to the first pit stop.
Yeah, perfection at 175 miles per hour is all they're asking.
In the Rolling Science Project, it is
well,
a race car.
When you have a car like that, you're really pretty well balanced. And when the driver can just change a little bit about the way he's driving the car and make it loose or tight, really that's about all you can do as far as the balance goes. You can't go, you know, changing wedge and air pressure to help that as far as balancing one end or the other. So just, you know, they're just a little bit off on this longer run. It looks like he's slipping back just a little bit more as they go, but they're due for another pit stop.
Pit stops coming very soon, so we'll take a break and come back. Get ready for those. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has added another second to his lead while Hamlin and Menard raced for second spot. And the defending Nationwide Series champ Stenhouse is up by 3.1 seconds. Green flag pit stops beginning tonight in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. O'Reilly 300 at Texas Motor Speedway. Kurt Busch on pit road. Yes, those are some scrapes on the right side of that 54 car. And as Kurt heads back onto the track, let's show you what happened a lap before he pitted.
Yeah, Drew's been widening out, but not quite that much. Not enough room for that.
Now, the caution has just come out for debris on the racetrack. Dave, what are they saying about that 54?
Right front was going down. It was absolutely necessary for him to pit, Alan. It wasn't way out of sequence with what they were wanting to do, but cords are showing on that right front tire that came off of Kurt's car. He had to hit pit road. Jamie?
22 of Brad Keselowski. That is why the caution came out. He was slowing up, said the car was getting extremely hot. The team thought he'd be okay, thought he just broke a header. And Brad said, nope, we're getting worse. And the car sounds bad, and you see him make that left-hand turn back to the garage.
Yeah, you can hear the car come by the front straightaway, and it just blew up.
There's
your debris.
Brake duct out of somebody's car.
Probably Kurt Busch. He
Yeah.
was the last one to make contact, and then right after that's when Keselowski's going to go up. See, right here, it just laid down and completely run right here.
That's not how an engine's supposed to sound.
No, and he'd reported a little earlier that they may have an issue, but they were hoping that it was something less severe than what it turned out to be.
Well, the reason the crews thought that is because he was still making time. He was passing cars and running good lap times, but Brad knew he had a problem.
So from 6th position, Brad Keselowski goes to the garage area and out of the race. Joining Scott Riggs, Chase Miller, Josh Wise, Scott Speed, Kevin LePage, and Jeff Green, who all pulled in after running just less than a dozen laps for any of them. For those who had not pitted under green yet, they get to make the stop under caution. A couple of guys are going to get burned by that. We'll recap it in a minute. Mike?
Kasey Kahne and Mike Shiplett having a very long conversation as to what to do to the race car. Kahne saying it's pretty neutral. They'd been contemplating making a wedge adjustment. Kahne saying he didn't want to do that, thought it would get him a little bit too tight. They don't. They just go with 4 tires and no chassis adjustments. Vince.
Justin Allgaier, bottom left of your screen, 2-3 in, 2 tight in the middle. They're going down on the track bar 2 rounds, taking some wedge out in 4 tires. Jamie?
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a 3-second lead, so the car was loose, then perfect. Track bar down, 4 sticker tires and fuel. Dave?
Third place, Paul Menard, 4 scuffed tires, 1 lap scuffs. He's off of pit road first. Sunoco fuel in that car. Also a track bar adjustment for the car that he said was more tight than loose.
And check out the number 6. -5. Have to follow up on that and see what happened to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And it's going to shuffle him from the lead back to 6th position.
Junior's team picked him up in 3 spots.
So, first round of pit stops for the leaders all wrapped up. Rear tire changer for Austin Dillon. Jeremy West carrying us into action. While we work the caution here at Texas, reminder that the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals from Charlotte are happening this weekend. Qualifying tomorrow, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. Also tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN2, the Tequila Patron American Le Mans Series in the streets of Long Beach. And then Sunday, the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals Finals, 7 Eastern ESPN2. The motorsports action this weekend on the ESPN networks. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was the leader for the opening run of the race, but he finds himself back in 6th position off the pit stops. What happened? Well, watch the right front.
You can see they're just struggling with that right front, getting the lug nuts off, and it's definitely a problem. No more issues from here, but this was just enough to cost Ricky about 5 spots. Yeah, 16.6. That's going to get you beat pretty well on pit road. Most people making those 13, sometimes 12-second stops.
So Stenhouse finds himself in 6th position for the restart. Driver change during the caution as well, Mike.
Yeah, Eric McClure, Alan, suffering from flu-like symptoms. You know how bad that is with a normal job. Imagine being behind the wheel at close to 200 miles per hour in very hot temperatures. Well, he got out of the race car, and he'll be replaced by Jeff Green for the remainder of the race. I spoke with Eric briefly. Just said he's sick to his stomach right now, Alan.
All right, thanks, Mike. Jeff Green actually ran a couple practice laps in that 14 car earlier this morning in the practice session they had here. So this is not completely unfamiliar territory for Jeff and the race team. Jason Bowles got the free pass, and you see the restart order here. 6 cars, those who pitted under green and got caught by the caution flag, took waiver rounds to get back onto the lead lap. 6 cars took the waiver round, 2 to get back onto the lead lap. Sam Hornish Jr. and Kurt Busch are on the lead lap. it into the corner.
You can see Dale Earnhardt Jr. there in that 5 car wanting to make a move and try to make something happen on this restart, but really got himself out of position.
Steve Hartman wasn't afraid to go out there in that 30 car.
For the lead, Kasey Kahne outside, Paul Menard inside. Give that lap to Kahne in the 38.
For these first 5 or 6 laps, if these drivers run, that inside lane is going to be the quicker way around on the fresh tires, even though Kasey Kahne's able to hang there pretty decent. Got a great battle. Look at that car bottomed out getting down in.
I can't imagine what that feels like as a driver when that front splitter or the chassis components, whatever, is bouncing off the racetrack at that speed.
No, you really can't imagine. I'm not being a smart aleck there, but it is a feeling that very unsettling to the driver. You feel all of that hitting. You're just hoping that these tire pressures build up and that goes away sooner than later.
And that's what they're counting on. You see right there, it was not quite as bad that lap as the lap before. Getting into once where it was really bad. He tried to, it's still sparking pretty good though. Tried to run it in real hard on the outside, and you can see a ton of sparks coming out of the car.
He talked about Dale Jr. in that 5, trying to make some ground after the restart, working on Joey Logano in the 20.
Well, they had a good pit stop, so it's nice to see that their car, it looks like they made some adjustment to that too to help his progress towards the front.
He's trying to reward that pit crew with that good pit stop now by passing a few on the track.
And really, what we've seen in the last few years in NASCAR racing, the trend become, Tony Stewart kind of emphasized it for us in that race at the beginning of the chase, Chicagoland last year, but restarts. Being daring, making spots up quickly on a restart because things are going to settle in and people's tire pressures are going to come up and the air is going to begin to become a factor, and being opportunistic on the restarts is critical.
Well, you can get 2 or 3 spots in those first few laps if your car is good and you can be aggressive on those starts. But right now you can see Junior, it's going to take him a few laps just to make this next spot up, and then he's got to do the same thing again. So it's very difficult once this thing gets strung out a little bit to make up that track position.
Michael Annett, 43. Steve Hartman, 30. David Ragan, 27. 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Right behind there, you can see the 88 of Cole Witt and the 09. That's not Kenny Wallace this week. That is Ryan Truex driving that car. Brought some sponsorship over to him. Kenny Wallace will be back in the 09 car at Talladega.
And Danica Patrick just next in line, lead lap, right behind her teammate, Cole Witt. Vince, little adjustment going on with Ryan Truex and this team working together for the first time.
They are indeed, and Ryan's got a little bit of another advantage. Remember, his brother, Martin Truex Jr., will be on pole for the Cup race tomorrow night, and they bounced some conversation off one another about how these tires might wear tonight.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother earlier today in the motorhome. He was saying if he had a little bit of push at all, he was 2/10 slower. If he was a little free like we've been, or the second practice, he was really fast. You just had to, hustle it. So I'm thinking we're going to have to be on the free side to go fast and not kill the right front tire.
Having that communication with crew chief Scott Zipadelli, no matter who's in this car, this team always puts forth the big effort, even though they've got this small budget.
That car's a whole lot easier to manage when you have a little push in it. It's a little bit tight. But like you said, you heard right there, 2 or 3 tenths slower when you have any push at all. And that's what makes this so tricky. You have to have the car free, and we've taken a lot of these in-car shots. We saw Ricky Stenhouse early in the race leading and basically turn it right as much as he's turning left.
Denny Hamlin in the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing, trying to get second spot away from Kasey Kahne. Hamlin has come tantalizingly close at this racetrack before in the Nationwide Series. A couple of runner-up finishes. And Brian Scott.
Looks like another engine problem. Saw Brad Keselowski's engine expire, and now it looks like this one has.
11 car was running in 8th position at the time he
that's not
came
good
off
right
the
there.
pace.
And it's always been a tough racetrack on the engines because you are in the gas so much and turning those RPMs for a long period of time.
Yeah, the RPMs don't come down a whole lot in the middle of the corner. I mean, you're still carrying over, 8,000 RPMs like a minimum. So very hard on them.
Yep. Young man who desperately needed to have a good run tonight. He's just had lousy luck so far this season. But it's not going to be tonight for Brian Scott, who is headed behind the wall, being pushed there by his crew. Paul Menard out in front, started on pole, lost the lead early to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now Menard is out ahead of Casey Kane and Denny Hamlin. You're tired. The O'Reilly 300 at Texas Motor Speedway. Ongoing for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Paul Menard out in front. There's the gap. First to second. Denny Hamlin running second. New third place runner Elliott Sadler has just gotten around Casey Kane.
Yeah, it looks like the adjustment they made on this 2 car has been beneficial for Elliott Sadler after this restart.
Story of the race, basically, Menard started on the pole. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. went by him early, opened up a 3-second lead in the opening segment of the race. Just as green flag pit stops approached, caution came out when Brad Keselowski lost an engine, and there was some debris on the racetrack. Also, Kurt Busch scraped the wall and dropped a little brake ducting. And after the pit stops, in which Stenhouse lost 5 positions, Menard has led since. Roush Fenway Racing trying to win a 4th consecutive Nationwide Series event at this racetrack. Their hopes rest on Stenhouse solely tonight because the guy who's standing on pit lane with Jamie isn't behind the wheel of a car on the track.
That's right. He was the winner of this race back in November, and for the first time this year, he's sidelined. How difficult is it for you, Trevor, to stand here and watch Ricky tonight?
This is pretty tough, I'm not going to lie. I can hear you better, when I'm in the car. Doing the in-race reporter, I'd rather be doing that. So, I don't know. This is a tough deal. I'd rather be on the racetrack, and we were 4th in points. So it's kind of heartbreaking to see here and watch these guys make laps. But I just keep pretending it's a truck race or something where I shouldn't be out there anyways. It makes it a little bit easier. But hopefully we get something soon where we can get back on the track and make some laps and try to win some more races.
Do you have any plans at this point to get back in the car at any particular tracks?
What's that?
Do you have any plans right now, any races coming up that you know of?
We're working on some things. Hopefully about 6 to 8 more races, and obviously the more races the better for us. So they have the yourracecar.com stuff that people can go online and get to. That's about our best hope for a lot of races right now. But other than that, we're working on some different things because track time's where it's at. That's where we need to be, is doing this. And I want to be out here battling with these guys. Ricky's doing a great job, and hopefully Roush can still pull it off tonight.
All about sponsorship dollars, but the good news, he will be in the Cup race tomorrow starting 19th. Alan?
Something about this racetrack and karma. It's been a great place for Trevor on the Sprint Cup side. Been a great place for him in the race car. Nationwide, he won here last November, but it was after this race a year ago that health problems cropped up that forced him to miss out on competing for a championship. And this season, it's sponsorship woes that force him to miss out on competing for a championship.
I think it's especially bad for Trevor because he did win the last time we were here. I don't know how you stand there on pit road and watch this race knowing if you were out there you'd have a really great shot at it, but it's tough. He wants to get back out.
Yeah, as I look and hear that, it shows what separates our sport from so many other sports to where your abilities in that sport take you. Here, it's so much about opportunity and sponsorship dollars to put these young drivers in the right position, give them a chance to showcase their talents, and hopefully they'll find something because he's a great young man and a fantastic driver.
Trevor will race here tomorrow night in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series aboard the Wood Brothers 21. In qualifying earlier today, he got himself the 19th starting spot for tomorrow night's race. Michael Annett, 43, Joey Logano, 20. This is for 10th and 11th places, as you see.
Yeah, I talked in qualifying a little bit about how impressed we all are, I think, with this race team of Richard Petty Motorsports and the job that Michael Annette's doing also. They just threw this together literally in January, and they performed very well, and Michael Annette's doing a great job behind the wheel of these cars.
Fourth place here, Kasey Kahne, Austin Dillon.
Kind of like what I see with Austin Dillon in these. He's not abusing these tires. We've seen them fall off. Andy, you were talking about falling off 2 seconds in that run earlier. He looks like at the start of these runs, he's taking care of these. He looks more like the experienced driver, and he's taking care of them, and then his car doesn't fall off quite as bad.
Yeah, he is doing a good job of that. You see, Kasey Kahne is struggling with the handling of his car. He's had to move up, try to find something to make speed, and it takes its toll on his tires after he runs a while, and, he's just doing what he can do with his car. But this track has become more like Atlanta. It's losing more and more grip, and these tires do go away.
When we talked with Austin Dillon earlier, we asked him about his granddad and team owner, Richard Childress, and which voice he hears more come on the radio, whether it's team owner or granddad. He was on the radio a little bit ago.
The rear grip a little better. Right now it's really good. I'm just in here and I'm loose.
Austin, you may be faster at the top of 3 and 4. You're killing them in 1 and 2 down here on the bottom.
Yeah, that's the kind of feedback that Richard is he's on top of these haulers. He's watching this thing. And that's what he's telling his young driver there. He can see, he's got so much experience, he can tell him things that'll help him.
One thing I've been noticing is all 3 of those Richard Childress cars are in the top 5, and a lot of the last 10 laps, they've been the top 3 fastest cars on the racetrack.
Austin Dillon running in 5th, Elliott Sadler in 3rd, Paul Menard leading. We saw Brian Scott go to the garage just a bit ago, Mike.
And a frustrating 2012 for Brian Scott continues, Alan. What happened?
Unfortunately, we blew a motor. You're right, it has been a frustrating 2012. Not the way we wanted to get started. Not sure what happened, but everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, they build great stuff, and their motor program's excellent. So I'm sure it was probably a part of something like that. And we'll just have to take it back, figure it out, and move on. That's all we can really do.
Brian Scott obviously a little bit disappointed. As he got out of the car, he tossed his helmet and basically shoved the steering wheel. He wasn't happy, and you can understand the frustration. He had a pretty good run going, Alan.
That 3rd race, he's failed to finish in the last 4, Mike, and that's not good for someone who hoped to contend for the championship this year. Tell you what, Kasey Kahne and Elliott Sadler are having a pretty good tussle.
Well, one thing, Kasey, like I said, he was moving around this track trying to find somewhere for that car to go, and he's found it.
Yeah, the one thing about Kasey is he started on the outside of the front row in this restart, and he's run every lap up around the top of the racetrack, and that really can help save your tires. You're not turning the wheel as much, not abusing it as much, and so now it looks like that this is paying off for him up there around the top. He lost a lot of time when these fresher tires and these cars were running around the bottom. He lost a spot or 2.
So Kahne up to 3rd place after sliding back a little bit. There is your race leader, Paul Menard, up 2.4 seconds on Denny Hamlin. We are past the 1/3 mark of tonight's 300-miler here at Texas Motor Speedway. Fast and furious on a Friday night at Texas Motor Speedway in the O'Reilly 300 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Paul Menard blistering around this racetrack, an event that has only been slowed 1 time for caution, that for debris, back at lap 46. Speaking of debris, Kasey Kahne running 3rd in the 38 car. There's Kasey, blue and white car, running down the backstretch a couple of laps ago, and watch by the left front corner of the 38.
It's like a piece of a brake duct motor, fan motor. It's plastic, but you hit it pretty hard.
And trouble off of turn 4. Brad Keselowski had just come back out of the garage
Probably take a set of tires here. Didn't hit anything.
During the commercial break, and has just spun off turn number 4. Second yellow of the night. Jeremy Clements just turned down into the garage area in front of Keselowski as he came back onto pit road.
just lost it. Be interesting to know what they did to fix that engine. You could hear it. It went real south when he brought the first caution out. Now they've got it. Looks like the motor's running good, but the handling's kind of gone away.
Got him too much motor.
Yeah, maybe. Sounded like it was something in the valve train. They may have been able to replace a rocker arm or something simple.
We will get a follow-up report on that, but we've got our pit reporters concentrating on covering these pit stops that are upcoming for the moment for the leaders.
We're just about due for another pit stop.
All right, here they come. Be lap 91, Michael.
Well, last time down pit road, you heard that Mike Shiflett and Casey Kane contemplated a wedge adjustment. They elected not to do it. They're going to do it this time. They're going to go down a half a round. They're going to try to tighten him up just a little bit. Also a 4-tire change on the 38, Jamie.
Denny Hamlin wants a big swing, says he's as loose as when they started. He made the call and said he wants wedge and a spring rubber in the left rear, 4 tires, and they'll fill it up with Sunoco. Nate?
Sunoco for both of the cars on the right. 4th place, Elliott Sadler. They say they fixed 70% of the landing problem. Still a little tight. Further adjustment. As for Paul Menard, wedge adjustment, just 1 round down in the left rear. He says the car is just a little free. Need you to tighten me up a little bit, and that's a little bit of a win off of pit road, I believe.
Yes, sir. Everybody pretty well holds serve, though Elliott Sadler's team with a nice pickup there. So, second caution is out tonight, just shy of halfway.
Paul Menard beats him off easily.
It's a little close there at the end of pit road for the other guy. From the stockyards of downtown Fort Worth out to the Texas Motor Speedway on the north side of town. A lot of horsepower going on here in Fort Worth. Got to have a lot of horsepower to rustle those lawnmowers, don't you?
Absolutely.
And got to have a lot of horsepower to wrestle one of these NASCAR machines around this fast 1.5 mile track, like the NASCAR Nationwide drivers are doing tonight. I tried to make sense of that.
I'm with you.
All right, couple of stories. Brad Keselowski, what'd they fix in the garage that brought him back out to just be able to spin out, Jamie?
Well, they checked everything when they took him back in the garage, checked their plugs, wires, headers, rockers, and it ended up being the distributor. So they replaced that, and they brought him back out just to get some laps for tomorrow's race to help him out.
All right, thanks. And Joey Logano made a second pit stop under this caution flag that has put him back last car on the lead lap in 19th spot. Follow up on that in a minute. First, we go racing. For the lead, 3 wide, Denny Hamlin to the bottom. Stenhouse Jr. trying to follow him through in the 6, and here comes Justin Allgaier in the 31. Had trouble behind them. That's Blake Cook. Caution is out.
There you go. You good? No, we're in the fence hard. Somebody dumped me. Out of 4.
Blake Cook was in 25th position, 2 laps down. And what was it we were discussing earlier about the intensity after a restart and be aggressive and grab spots now? We saw it up front, and we may have seen it back in the pack here too.
And we get to do it again now. Well, it looks like Kurt Busch got in the left rear, Blake Cook.
That's not what Blake was hoping for.
I hit that concrete part. He just missed the safety barrier.
But it puts us under caution for the 3rd time in this race. You heard Blake on the radio talking with his team already.
Well, everybody's trying to get what you can get. It was like 3 wide. It was about 4 or 5 different rows that were 3 wide, so I knew something was bound to happen.
And how about Denny Hamlin?
He was ready for that restart. I don't know if Menard just didn't get up to speed quite as good, but inside line was moving past him.
Menard finds himself back in 5th, while Hamlin and Stenhouse are up to 1st and 2nd. Now Joey Logano is on pit road again, Mike.
Yeah, this time, Alan, just to top off, but the previous 2 stops were to make some serious adjustments. Joey saying the car was terrible loose, especially in traffic. They made significant adjustments. They actually changed the left front shock, also put in spring rubbers in the right rear. So obviously a handful for Joey Logano right now, Dave.
And Mike Kurt Busch on pit road as well. He said, check the right side for damage. Crew Chief Mike Beam said, well, come on in, we'll check that. Also, we'll top the car off now, and then hopefully we'll be able to make it on just one more stop, fuel-wise.
All right, Mike Bliss gets the free pass. The caution is out, and we'll reset it again. Denny Hamlin is now the leader in the O'Reilly 300 at Texas. The NBA's 2 biggest markets play host on ABC's Sunday Showcase. At 1, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and the Heat roll into the Big Apple for a matchup with Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks. Then at 3:30 Eastern Time, Kobe, maybe, and the Lakers aim for a season sweep against Dirk and the Mavs. The NBA Sunday on ABC. Kobe sitting out tonight's game, that left shin inflammation that's kept him out a little while, and I guess in his pre-game comments, Coach Mike Brown would not speculate as to whether Kobe would play on Sunday or not. So there you go. That's Sunday. Here in Texas on Friday, it is nighttime racing at Texas Motor Speedway, which requires lights, a section of which on the inside of the back straightaway have just gone out.
It's like maybe they overheated, trying to cool them off.
The Musco lighting system, you see one of the fixtures there, uses mirrors to reflect the light. It was really revolutionizing when Humpy Wheeler went looking to find a way to keep the Sprint All-Star race, what was then the Winston, at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And he was kind of losing that bid. And he needed something. He needed a gimmick. And he went into a meeting with the folks that sponsored the race then, and he said, how about if we light the track and run the race at night? And they said, deal. And Humpy walked out of the room and said, how am I going to do that? A racetrack, a sporting facility of this size had never been lit before. Well, he found the people at Musco Lighting, and they designed this system where the light is amplified and reflected by mirrors, and he lit that 1.5-mile track, and it's spread all throughout the circuit. Now we have the 2.5-mile at Daytona lit, but there's a little section of lights that's out on the inside of Turn 3, and they're working to fix that up right now. Dale Jr. Noticed it.
Now, had lights go out over here. Oh, boy, yeah. Dark over. I think it's on the inside of the track, maybe. Nah, man, it's light enough. You can race right there. Oh, yeah, I know. But I just saw it happen. I'm just letting you know. Getting dark over there.
You've driven on these big racetracks under the lights. What's it like when it's fully lit like it's supposed to be?
Well, it's easy for a spotter or whoever that was to talk to and say, yes, plenty light over there. He's not in there at 180 miles an hour. I can promise you. It does make a huge difference. They do a tremendous job. I mean, racing at night is sometimes seems like it's even better than day because you don't have to deal with the sunlight and reflections from that. So, but that little bit can make a huge difference.
So they're working as fast as they can to get that section relit, but we remain under caution for the moment. Gives us a chance to talk to our ESPN in-race reporter for the night, Austin Dillon, in the famous 3 for Richard Childress Racing. Finds himself running 8th, DJ. It's about as far back as he's been all night.
Hey, Austin, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Got you there, Dale.
All right, buddy, we're halfway through this race now. Looks like you've got a pretty strong car. Looks like it might be a little bit better after you run a few laps, but has the track changed much from the start of this race?
You know, we've been adjusting on it all night and been gaining on it. I think that last restart hurt us a little bit, the 18-foot 33 wide, and kind of shuffled us back there. So I'm fine that here in 7th, we'll make our way up through a bunch of these guys, I think.
We saw you earlier try that higher line like Ricky Stenhouse, who was leading the race at that time. You pretty comfortable up there, or your car liked the bottom better?
So it moves, the track moves around throughout the run. I start on the bottom and stay there pretty long, and then it moves up and then back to the bottom, back up. It kind of moves around as the track groove moves. So I'm learning a lot from Casey Kane up here, and I've been able to race really hard with him all night.
All right, Austin, thanks. Good luck the rest of the night, bud.
Getting that small section of lights inside of turn 3 warmed back up and on, so we'll be going back racing in a minute. We'll squeeze in a quick break before those come up to full power. The O'Reilly 300 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Texas Motor Speedway is about to restart. All the lights are on. Everything's working just like it's supposed to. And a look at the restart order as the field forms up behind the pace car in turns 3 and 4. Hamlin, now the leader. Stenhouse, who was the leader earlier, now also making some good moves on that last restart. He's up to second. Justin Allgaier picked up some spots in that last little burst of racing, while Paul Menard, who was the leader, shuffled back now, restarting in row 3.
Stenhouse caught sleeping on that start.
Certainly goes back to last year when we saw Stenhouse having some problems on these restarts. I don't know if he just spun the tires there, didn't have them cleaned off good enough, but it's really going to cost him.
Elliott Sadler looking for the lead on the outside in the deuce.
Power move right there.
Yeah, and that's a point towards the championship. He wanted to get that.
Denny Hamlin, 18, not going to give up so easily. And what about the recovery of Sam Hornish in the 12, right behind him, fourth place?
He's right there with the run. Got him 3 wide for the lead, though.
Hamlin didn't like that spot he was in the middle.
Well, he's still there, just for another spot, for third spot. Looks like he's going back to 5th.
How about Sam Hornish's job he's doing? Man, that car was out of control back earlier in this race. Up in the top 5 now.
He was 19th for the restart a couple of yellows ago and has worked his way up now into the top 4. Still Menard and Sadler double wide for the lead, and Stenhouse using all that side-by-side racing in front of him to make up the ground lost with a bad restart.
Yeah, look at the run Sam Hornish got right there. You saw Stenhouse get it just a little bit loose. Sam's car's on a rail.
Stenhouse just wants a lane that he can go in where there's nobody at. He knows up there, tried to go 3 wide a while ago on the outside. That wasn't the way to go, so now he's just looking for somewhere else to go.
I didn't hear him crack the throttle in 1 and 2.
So last restart, it was Denny Hamlin who jumped Menard and shuffled him back in traffic. This time Menard's the one who winds up in the lead, and Hamlin is back in 5th place.
So does that tell us for later in the race that you don't want to be restarting this on the
I guess you want to be 5th,
right? Sounds like Justin Allgaier sliding his car through the corner. 31.
Talking about Sam Hornish Jr. and the nice recovery of that 12 car up to 4th place, Vince.
One of the things, Alan, they've been battling throughout the course of the night is the car has just been too free on entry. But crew chief Chad Walter's been working on it, and they've gotten it to where Sam is really comfortable. And I've heard a confidence in his voice that I haven't heard very often as he talked with Chad on the radio. They really like their race car right now, and you're seeing the result of it.
Great drive. Back up through. Well, while we watch this, I'll just throw out there that Chad Walter and all these other crew chiefs are going to have that strategy call to make later on in this race, Andy. We've seen it. We saw it the last race here, where that decision to keep the track position or get the fresher tires, they're going to have to be crunching those numbers in their head and make that call at some point.
Well, if we keep having cautions like we've had, where it comes right at the time that they would make pit stops anyway, you're not going to see many strategy plays because they're going to get 4 tires, they're going to get fuel. the tires are falling off so much in lap time that they have to get forward to be competitive. I don't think that we're going to see anybody be able to take 2 tires and stay out there and hold anybody off. That's actually easier for a crew chief to make that call than it is some of those when you have a tire that really doesn't give up much.
Stenhouse stalking Menard for the lead. Dave?
Alan, driver Paul Menard is a veteran. Crew chief Ernie Cope is a veteran. But this is the first time that they've ever worked together, and they're running very well in Nationwide Series. Ernie Cope actually has 5 different drivers this year on this 33 car. He says, yeah, they all want something a little different, but they're all good. I love the fact that I've got all these different drivers to work with, and right now, Paul Menard is proving his worth on this team.
I can see the fun side of it. Also, I can see the difficulty of different drivers, just like different feel in a race car, even subtly.
Well, you know, the consistency you lose when you switch drivers, but what you gain from that is that you get other. Each driver has their own style, what they like. They may even bring something to the table. That you may discover something with one, say Paul Menard tonight, that makes their program, moves their program forward, that they maybe wouldn't find with somebody else. And you know, so what you lose in consistency, you gain with this different perspective of these great drivers. All of them are great drivers.
Really great driving by Menard to hold off Stenhouse there, because it looked like for a few laps Stenhouse just had a faster car, and Menard found a way to hang on to the top spot and make Stenhouse fall in line. A lot of racing still to go. 86 laps left tonight in Texas.
A little Friday Night Lights as we get you caught up with what has happened so far from Texas Motor Speedway with the Ram race rundown. It started with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. jumping out to the front early on. He led 45 laps tonight.
Showed a lot of strength early. He's got a good race car and has still stayed up in that top 5 all night long.
Running second right now, Kurt Busch in the 54 car for little brother Kyle, but some trouble.
I'll tell you, Kurt's been digging real hard. He's come from the back a couple of times, gotten to the fence there, but still is in the top 15 as we speak.
Trouble for a couple of drivers tonight. Their engines. Tough night for Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski had a distributor go bad on him, had that replaced, came back out, and struggling a little bit this evening.
Same thing for the 11 car. Blown engine for Brian
Just
Scott.
bad luck for Brian Scott. He's had a tough season, can't get a break. Once he does, he's going to finish in the top 5 pretty consistently, but not tonight.
So you know how I said Friday Night Lights? You actually have to have lights to have Friday Night Lights.
That is Friday the 13th lights. That's what that's all about. Is
Very
Friday the 13th.
odd things happening at Texas Motor Speedway. We mentioned the engine issues for both Brad Keselowski and Brian Scott. Both of them still have teammates out there on the track in Denny Hamlin and Sam Hornish Jr. battling for position. They're running well. Should they be concerned?
I don't think they have anything to be concerned with. I mean, obviously we come to Texas and we turn these motors really, really hard, especially with that tapered spacer. But no, I think it was just a set of circumstances, and these guys seem to be pulling and running real strong.
Battling for 5th and 6th on the track, and of course out front, somebody you thought would be running very well. That's Paul Menard.
Paul Menard has been dominant tonight. He's led 63 laps thus far, and he looks like the cat that everybody's going to have to run down.
Alan?
I think the only concerns we'd have is if Big Brad starts making more of those marriage analogies again, Nicole.
Oh, he busted his wallet out earlier.
Boo, y'all. Boo, y'all.
All right, Nicole, Brad, thanks. Look at this race. Good stuff here.
We'll see Hornets get a little bit loose up on that top side again. Comment earlier, it looked like that they'd tighten that car up some, but he has started to fall back, and that could be because this car is starting to get loose once again.
It's 5th, 6th, and 7th places. Hornish, Dillon, and Denny Hamlin in lap traffic.
Slicing and dicing.
Denny Hamlin been complaining about a loose race car most of the night, too. Doesn't look like they really have that problem solved, and his teammate Joey Logano really hasn't rebounded at all.
Yeah, Logano's back in 16th place.
Austin Dillon's car, though, looks solid all night long. You don't see his jumping around as much as you see some of the other cars.
Careful.
Yeah,
Wow.
he does there.
Yeah, that's just that situation of trying to go to the bottom, stay in the throttle. You exit these corners, it really flattens out quickly, and that's where you get that little bit of a loose situation. Plus, he had Denny Hamlin coming right up on his bumper.
fun to see. If you weren't with us on NASCAR Countdown earlier, Denny Hamlin caddying the par 3 event at the Masters with his good friend Bubba Watson a week ago Wednesday. And then, of course, Watson went on to win the Masters in that thrilling finish on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, what a great round of golf that was. And congratulations to Bubba Watson. That was tremendous. You know, he's got a whole new group of fans now after that performance. And I'm sure it had to be a thrill for Denny to be down there. It's a wonderful place and to caddy for Bubba in the par 3 tournament. I was thinking if I played the par 3 course for 4 days and they played the regular course, I still couldn't win the Masters. That's still beat Denny.
I wonder if Bubba will come change front tires on Denny's car one time. Maybe for the All-Star race.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. When seeing a couple of teams here and there have some radio issues during the night tonight here in Texas. Is this the latest?
Might be a battery going dead because I'm getting a little bit of a repeat beep.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
Alan, I just spoke with the team. They're not all that concerned about the car battery. To be specific, they're worried about the battery in the radio system. That's the beeping you're hearing. So it is not otherwise a very serious problem, but something that certainly can be pretty annoying and certainly could affect how competitive they'll be down the stretch.
Yeah, that beeping sound you hear, that's the radio. If they put that in there so you can tell when it's starting to get low. It'll go a little bit longer after you start hearing it beep, but not much longer. I'm sure they have a backup radio in the car.
Danica running 17th. Her teammates Cole Witt 14th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 11th. Paul Menard hanging on to a lead of about 0.8 of a second over Ricky Stenhouse Jr. We've still got a little bit better than 100 miles to go, though, tonight in the O'Reilly 300 at Texas Motor Speedway. So a lot of racing to come on Friday the 13th in Fort Worth. Just crossed the 200-mile mark of tonight's 300-mile NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth. There's the race for the lead. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 6. The blue car had closed up on Paul Menard in the 33, but now has fallen back off the back bumper. And that's the way they run as we close in on another round of green flag pit stops. Up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. We start with the race leader and David Burns.
This morning I talked with crew chief Ernie Cope about what would be the key tonight. He said don't get the car loose. In fact, when we're practicing, if I even sense that it's loose, I'm going to tighten that thing way up. And his qualifying practice run was very loose. So they've been pretty close tonight, just a tick free off the corner right now for Menard. Jamie?
And on the last round of stops, the call was to tighten up the 6 car, and apparently they've gone too far.
I can't drive it any harder to get by him. Just way too tight.
Yeah, last 2 laps before that, whatever you were doing, they were really good laps. They were 31.60, but.
And because he's so tight, it's forcing him to run that outside high line, not where he wants to run. Dave?
Jamie, for Elliott Sadler, it's been the same issue all evening long. When the car lands right about here, it doesn't want to turn, and that's caused him some trouble. However, by finding a better line, he's been able to cut about a second off the lead in the last 9 laps. Mike?
Casey Kane pretty content with his race car, Dave, saying it's been neutral most of the evening. They've made slight adjustments on it, including a wedge adjustment last time down pit road. We saw them hit some debris on the racetrack not too long ago. They took a good look at it. Didn't look like there was any damage whatsoever, Jamie.
And Austin Dillon making his way forward. When we spoke to him, he was back in 8th, so it's taking the car a little bit longer to come to him, but once it does, he's moving in the right direction. He's saying he's just a little loose in and tight through the middle. And behind him is Denny Hamlin. In his 3rd race this year, they've been adjusting on this car, and apparently they too have gone a little bit too far. He was good on the start, and he quickly fell back and lost 4 positions. Spence?
Sam Hornish had climbed his way up to 4th. He has since dropped back 3 spots to 7th as the car has just started to get too free. And he says it's a little too snug in the center. Just a moment ago, he reported a vibration in the car. He said the good news is it feels like it's tightening it up a little bit. As for the 31 behind him, that's Justin Allgaier. Says it's free in, tight in the center, and then way too free off. they're going to snug that up when they come to the pits here in less than 10 laps. And then it's been a good run for the 43 of Michael Annett. Annett working his way up through the field. His best finish this season, 10th at Phoenix, but they have a relationship with Roush, and they say that's been making a big difference in the products of their race cars. Mike?
A strong run right now for the 27 of David Ragan. Said early on in the day that it was tight in traffic, but otherwise not too bad. The car has settled in. They've made some small adjustments, but otherwise Ragan pretty happy with the race car right now. Just behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Interesting to listen to his radio throughout the course of the day. It seems as though he's taking a leadership role behind the wheel. Every time crew chief Tony Eury calls for a change, it seems like Junior has an alternate change, and that's the direction they've been going in all night with what Junior wants, Alan.
Mike, thanks. Leaders all last pitted at lap 91. There was a quick caution after that, so we'll see them all on pit road again very, very soon. On the lead lap beyond Earnhardt Jr., as we see Elliott Sadler move up on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for second. You've got Kurt Busch running 12th, Steve Arpin 13th, Ryan Truex 14th, Cole Witt, Joey Logano, Danica Patrick, Mike Bliss, Joe Nemechek, and Jason Bowles, the rest of the lead lap cars. When you look back, take Daytona out of the equation a little bit because it's so much of a wild card with the restricted engine racing that goes on in the drafting and so on. The 4 races in the Nationwide Series that have been run this season beyond Daytona, these two drivers, Elliott Sadler and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., have nearly identical numbers in everything. Yes, Sadler's got 2 wins, Stenhouse has got 1, but number of points, number of laps led, top 5s, top 10s, you name it, they've got just about identical numbers. What that says to me is, even though it's early in the season to talk this way, this could be a whale of a championship between these two guys.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And Ricky Stenhouse proved last year that, he was really good under pressure. Elliott Sadler's ready to prove that once again, that not only is he a championship contender, but he can win races and making all of that happen.
Well, we saw Elliott having to put pressure from behind. I think this year you're going to see a different Elliott Sadler, and he may be the one that has the lead going down late in the season, and that's the kind of pressure it's hard to take.
First of the leaders on pit road for a green flag stop, Vince.
And that's the 31 of Justin Allgaier running in the top 10. Jimmy Elledge is crew chief, 4 tires, air pressure, and Sunoco fuel. He said, make sure we pack it full of fuel. Let's try to snug that thing up as well with the air pressure adjustment now.
All right, Vince, thanks. 55 laps to go.
That's going to stretch it, but Jimmy Elledge is a pretty good strategist. He knows what their car will do.
Last time Justin Allgaier won a race?
It was on fuel mileage.
Thank you. Chicagoland last summer. More cars beginning to peel off the racetrack onto the pit lane. Here comes Elliott Sadler from second place. .45-mile-an-hour pit lane speed. Sadler working his way to the attention of Luke Lambert and the Richard Childress Racing crew, Dave.
As we reported earlier, Alan, tight on landing is the call. They really want to make sure, you talked about fuel mileage, they get it full this time. It'll be an air pressure adjustment to help Elliott. That'll be the only thing. They'll get it full of Sunoco fuel before they send him on his way. Also, Kurt Busch on pit road. Kurt, as you mentioned, running in the 12th position. You see the leader, Paul Menard, on the right coming down pit road. Kurt coming down. His car is tight. It goes too tight in the middle of the run. Mike?
Kasey Kahne has been happy with his car all evening long. A 4-tire change being called on the 38. No changes to the chassis, trying to keep this car up toward the front where they've been all evening.
Austin Dillon loose in, tight in the middle, air pressure adjustment. The 6 is also in of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as they work on the left side. They got to pack these cars full of fuel, Dave. 53 laps to go.
Air pressure adjustment for Paul Menard. He's already gone down pit road. We'll see if he retains the lead on the cycle of pit stops. That was a pretty smooth pit stop.
Denny Hamlin has not pitted yet. Here's Hornish in, Vince.
It's a little too free for Sam Hornish. They're going to make a wedge adjustment and also 4 tires. Otherwise, he's been pretty happy with the race car, especially in those last 2 stints. They're hoping that this is really going to make it perfect, Jamie.
And that's Steve Arpin in the 30, making his first of 2 appearances back in the Nationwide Series. They're working on the right side, a little cockeyed getting into his box. The car has been a little loose tonight, but good to see him back in the series. He has 1 win here in the ARCA Series. Now the 18 of Denny Hamlin, as they continue working on that 30, you see Denny Hamlin go by. Been working on this car, went a little too far last time. He's been begging for that tear off on the windshield. They just did it. Working on the right side's track bar adjustment as well. Vince?
The 88 of Cole Witt, it's been an up and down night. He had a good, strong qualifying run, but since then they've been fading. He says the car in the high line is not as good as he'd like. They're going to make a wedge and track bar adjustment. Mike?
No adjustments to the 7 car. Just 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel. A quick stop. She's a win.
Almost everybody of the front runners have made their pit stops in this cycle. Still got David Reagan, Joe Nemechek, and Jason Bowles out on the racetrack. There's Reagan. And when those 3 cars, actually when Reagan pits because Nemechek and Bowles have just come in, the lead is going to go back around to Paul Menard. Here comes Reagan now. Mike?
David Reagan on pit road. He's been pretty content with his race car, saying it's just a little bit snug. They're going to try to free that up with air pressure. You can see them completing their work on one side of the car, swinging around to the other side for a 4-tire change. Meanwhile, further down pit road, you'll find Dale Earnhardt Jr. on pit road. They'll make a wedge adjustment, a round and a half down on that car, trying to get him just a little bit more free, trying to give him a little bit more speed in this closing run, Alan.
Change for what will now be second place as Stenhouse in the 6 goes by Sadler in the 2. Paul Menard had a 2.5 lead before the stops. He's got a 2-second lead now over that fight for second place. Menard in search of a win that would break a long dry spell in this Nationwide Series. A new chapter in the Angels-Yankee rivalry highlights ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Derek Jeter and the Bronx Bombers welcome Albert Pujols and the retooled LA team. Then Monday night at 7 Eastern, Joe Mauer and the Twins take on A-Rod and the Yankees. SportsCenter will be seen in New York. Both games available on ESPN, ESPN3, and also live on the Watch ESPN app. No comment on the opening of the season for your Yankees?
Been a struggle, to say the least, but they have got back to 500 before tonight's game.
And they won tonight, by the way. So, okay. Paul Menard leading more laps tonight than he had led before in a NASCAR Nationwide Series race, and that previous high was the race that he won, 2006 at the Milwaukee Mile. Wisconsin native, that was a huge victory for him. This racetrack has been a good one for Paul, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him be a threat in tomorrow night's Sprint Cup race either.
Yeah, if he's got enough fuel tonight, I'm not sure they'll catch him, but really have enough fuel.
Had an opportunity for a caution a minute ago. Taylor Malsum in the 19 car. You'll see the right rear corner of his car has been a little rearranged. That actually looks a little prettier than it did a minute ago because he's been on pit road getting repairs made after this.
He gets it way out of shape right there in turn 2. Wall straightened him up.
And as we come back to live action, you will notice as the cars go into that section of turn 3, that bank of interior lights have darkened again, but we stay under the green flag. As the leader, Paul Menard, runs up on some pretty heavy lap traffic. Some of that lap traffic are lead lap cars racing for spots.
And that's the hardest thing, I think, when you talk about those lights going out. When you're around cars like that, that's what it makes it more difficult to see as a driver, is those things happening around, because there might be another car right in front of one that you see that you really can't see that you normally could because of a reflection that you're not getting now.
Caution is out for those lights.
Caution is out for the lights.
Yeah, this is that caution, Alan, that, you know, these cars haven't run that many laps since they pitted, and some of them are on a little different cycle because they pitted at different times. Paul Menard pitted last on lap 147 or lap 162. This is where you might see a little strategy.
So all of the leaders have pitted 3 times. There are a couple of cars that have pitted 4 times, so they'd be out of fresh tires. But all these leaders have 1 set of fresh tires left. So, Mr. Crew Chief, knowing we still have 38 laps to go, stalling for time while I dig for my late caution stat here. 6 of the last 8 Texas Nationwide Series races, last green run, 14 laps or less. So history tells us you're probably going to have a late caution, but tonight's been a pretty...
Yeah, it's got that green look to it, but the thing that bothers me is these lights. If they keep going out and if they're going to throw a caution every time they do, which I'm not sure that they really need to. I think that they can see. What do you think, Dale? I mean, like I said, I'm standing here. I'm not in the car.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to look over there and say, oh, yeah, there's plenty of light over there. But I'm telling you, it looks so much different inside that car. And I think it's a dangerous situation for everyone involved. Yeah, you want to put tires on right now, and you just have to just basically gamble you're not going to have another caution. And if you do, you're just going to have to put on whatever tires. If you make that pit stop, you'd have to put on whatever tires you have.
Well, these ones that have just been run have got about less than 20 laps. Let's see, Menard pitted at 147. Caution came out at 162. So you can maybe put the lug nuts.
Most of the goodies gone off that set, though.
Glue the lug nuts back up on those. And
that'd probably be the best set you'd have left.
I don't know.
Yeah, if somebody gambles here, and I think these leaders will pit and get tires, and if somebody else gambles and tries to save that set, you don't get that caution, then they're going to get, they're passed way by.
Kind of like the basketball coach, you don't want the final buzzer to sound with a timeout still on your side of the board.
Yeah, and unless it's one of these top at least 6 or 7 cars that saves that, the other cars I don't believe are fast enough to make up that time anyway.
Pit road is open. Any takers?
Oh, yeah. Plenty.
16 cars on the lead lap. That's not all of them coming in. Mike?
Kasey Kahne saying he's a little bit loose in the center. They're going to go down a half round on the left rear, a 4-tire change in fuel for Kahne.
31 of Allgaier. They discussed a track bar adjustment, but instead just 4 sticker tires. Jamie?
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. saying we're okay, then loose, and then we're jumped too tight. They're going to make another wedge adjustment, gas and 4 tires, Dave.
And leader Paul Menard, very good last run, a little bit freer, but Ernie Cope told him, well, I don't think they're going to adjust him because Ernie told him you were a little bit better with that car, a little freer. They'll win the race off of pit road. Can they win the race?
And everybody pretty well holding serve on that series of pit stops. But not all the lead lap cars came in. There will be a number 3 atop the scoreboard when we go back racing. Austin Dillon didn't pit. As the weekend unfolds, you can watch the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals for the NHRA drag racers from Charlotte, qualifying tomorrow, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. You can also see on the ESPN networks this weekend the Tequila Patron American Le Mans Series race from Long Beach, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN2 tomorrow. The finals of the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals are at 7 Eastern Sunday on ESPN2, and the Nationwide Series has the weekend off next weekend. It's on to Richmond for a Friday night race in 2 weeks, 7 Eastern, ESPN2. We are working the 4th caution of the race. This caution because a bank of lights on the inside of turn number 3 at Texas Motor Speedway has gone out for a 2nd time tonight. Austin Dillon and David Reagan. Dillon finds himself in the lead.
Going to have clean air. That's going to be the best the car feels all night. Clean air. You just have to get you a good restart. And remember what I always tell you when you're in this position, how bad do you want it?
Hey, Austin, Dale Jarrett, you got us?
Hard as you can, man. I think it's the last lap you're going to do.
Or I'll do it.
Hey, Austin, Dale Jarrett, you got us?
Sir.
Hey, looking at that turn 3 and those lights out, how does that affect you? You ran a couple laps under green there. Is it too dark to race?
Right now it is. I'm sitting out here with little less fresh tires, so it's dark. I wanted to keep running under caution for a few laps so I can have about a shootout at the end for them. I think we got something for it. The American Ethanol Chevy is very fast right here. We'll just go after them. I'm going to drive every lap like it's the last.
Speaking of those tires, you chose to stay out, and we'll see how that works for you. But in feel as the driver, as you get some laps on the tires, do they fall off that much, or are you pretty comfortable with what you have there?
Definitely fall off, just get tighter. But I think I have a line for them to hopefully conserve what I got. But I'm going to be driving for all it's worth, that's for sure.
For a young man that doesn't have a lot of experience, we're looking at you right there through our camera. You look pretty relaxed in this situation.
I'm having fun. It's great to drive these RCR cars, and I want to thank all the fans for coming out tonight and watching us on TV, man. It's a great series here. I want to thank Nationwide Insurance for sponsoring our series.
Well, we want to thank you for talking with us and doing a great job out there. Good luck whenever this goes back green.
Austin Dillon, the race leader, our in-race reporter. So what about that call to not take tires here, Jamie?
Well, it's certainly a different demeanor down here. So rookie driver, rookie crew chief in the Nationwide Series, Danny Stockman. So Danny, why did you make the call to keep him out despite everybody else pitting?
Well, our first lap after that green flag run when we put tires on was a 31 flat. Our last lap on the racetrack before the caution come out, we run a 31 flat. So that's the best our car has been all night. The best air out there is to be in front, and I just felt like that was the call to make. We'll see if it works for us.
So how are your nerves right now as you watch him lead this race here toward the end?
Actually pretty calm. I mean, Austin's always run really good here at Texas, and I just told him to cowboy up because we're in Texas. It's time to go.
Cowboy up, and I believe he laughed. Let's see what happens, Alan.
I like that phrase.
Well, you can see the numbers that he uses there to make that decision to stay out, and it makes sense logically, but we'll see how it works. I mean, these tires really have given up a lot of speed as you put laps on them. Let's just see if this is too many laps that they've got on them.
Well, they're going to have a little more time to think about it, because what's going to happen here at the moment is the pace car is going to bring the field down the pit lane, and they're going to park the cars under the red flag. They're saying that this is a breaker problem that's tripping these lights, and they're going to take 10 minutes to change that faulty breaker so it doesn't happen again, and we can finish this race like we should, with the track fully lit for the drivers and the green flag out for the fans.
I think Austin was hoping they'd just keep running under caution while they fix it.
That'd be, yeah, a good way to get that win. But the one thing, as they go back to green now with this, whenever on this restart, one thing that I would be concerned for him is getting those rear tires really cleaned off to where he doesn't spin the tires and create a 3-wide situation for himself. So he'll have to work really hard at that.
It's going to give his tires a good chance to cool off, though, so that should help him.
Definitely.
You know, you think back on Daytona, during the Daytona 500, and the incident with the crash with the jet dryer and the damage to the track that had to be repaired, and the incident with the lights and so on. And you think about what a task it is to operate one of these speedways. Massive, massive place with hundreds of thousands of people on the grounds, and all the things you have to be prepared for and be prepared to deal with. And I had a conversation the last race we were at out at Auto Club Speedway in California with the president of the Daytona track, Joey Chitwood. And he was telling me all that was prepared in advance that allowed them to repair that track and resume that race and finish it like it should have been finished. And I guess we lose sight of that easily enough because we show up, everything's ready for us, run the race, and we go home. But there are literally months and months and months of planning and preparation to deal with every possible contingency that could happen when you have an event at a facility as large and complex as this.
Yeah, I've been racing a long time, and I was really surprised that they were able to be as prepared as they were at Daytona to get that track back raceable. And I'm sure Eddie Gossage and his crew here have got things in place here to fix these breakers and get us back racing again. But, yeah, you don't realize just the preparation that goes into this and the detail.
Yeah, we talk about the experience of drivers and crew chiefs out here, with the experience these track owners have with all kinds of different things happening, prepares them for situations just like this. We'll be back racing before long because of that.
All right, so while they work on swapping out that breaker to fix that little bank of lights, let's check with the team owner of the leading car and the grandfather of its driver, Jamie.
Known as Pop Pop to Austin Dillon, Richard Childress. You just came walking down here with a smile on your face. What do you expect to see from your grandson once we get going green here?
Well, I think I wouldn't have made that call, but I let these guys make their own call. Hopefully it's the right one. New tires is always really good here, and but all three of the cars have ran real well tonight, and I guarantee you Austin will give 100%, and all of our cars are good. We'll just see what happens. All we can do is he'll go all the way as hard as he can, and we'll see what happens.
I know you have a lot on your plate. Obviously, 3 cars out here. You're making your way down to Elliott Sadler's guys to chat with them. But how is it different for you dealing with your grandson and watching and trying to keep an eye on what they're doing with him?
Well, I look at them all, but naturally I got to watch Austin, because he's, he's Ken, he's my grandson. But, to watch, I really want to see Elliott and Paul do good. Paul's had a really great car all night, and but I'm down here talking to all of them. But I'll be watching Austin close on this restart. It's going to be tough.
Well, it's been a good night, so I'm sure that smile will stay on that face, Alan.
Richard Childress looking for his 6th win as a team owner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Texas Motor Speedway, and having a pretty good run of it tonight. He's got Austin Dillon leading, Paul Menard, who was the leader before the pit stops, running 3rd. Elliott Sadler, the championship leader, still in the hunt. He's running 6th. Under the red flag for a breakers swap here at Texas. We'll be back racing momentarily. It's been a pretty exciting start to the NASCAR Nationwide Series season 2012, and from here in Texas, after a week off, we continue on to the action track in Richmond on Friday night, April 27th. Got races at Talladega, Darlington, Iowa, Charlotte. Got a lot of great action still to come, and I hope you'll join us at the racetrack. That's how you find out about tickets, NASCAR.com/tickets, or that phone number at the bottom of the screen. Has been a good start to the season, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been fantastic. A lot of great racing and some drivers stepping up to the plate, making it happen.
You can see some of these tracks we're going to, a lot of excitement there.
Sprint Cup side too. It's been a fun start to the season. Seeing those inside lights begin to come back up to full power on the inside of turn number 3 in the back straightaway. See them warming up there, so we'll have the cars back out on the track here momentarily and get the final 30 or so laps of this race run. Paul Menard was the leader until the little strategy play on this round of pit stops, but he's still sitting pretty in 3rd place, Dave.
And I don't think he even needs lights, Alan, who, he's running so fast, I think he can probably get the lead back. But Ernie, you told me this morning, fun working with these different drivers because they're all good. What do you think of your first run with Paul here?
Oh, we're having a blast. I mean, his feedback's excellent. We haven't done a whole lot to the car. I think we hit it pretty close. I'm just excited to go back to racing and see what we can do.
I don't know if this 2-car tandem in front of you is considered traffic, but do you have any concerns about how the car will handle now that he's out of the lead?
No. We fell back on that one restart there when one of the cars made us 3 wide there. We went back to 5th, and it took them 7-8 laps to retake the lead. You don't know how it's going to go. You don't know who worked on their car. There's Ricky Stenhouse has been good. Casey Kane's been good. The 2 cars good. Just hopefully they didn't adjust their cars and outdo us here. We left ours alone.
There you go. No change on the last stop. The car is that good. We'll see how Paul can do to the end.
All right, Dave, pace car beginning to roll away from the front of the field, and the red flag is going to be withdrawn and the yellow put back out as this field goes out onto the racetrack. That was 6 minutes of red flag time. And I say nice job, track crew, to get that breaker swapped out and get us going again. So, resetting things for you. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was the early leader of the race, lost 5 spots on an early round of pit stops and has struggled to get back to the front since. Paul Menard started on pole, lost the lead to Stenhouse in that first run. He's been one of the guys up fighting for the lead most of the race ever since. Menard has led 100 of the 169 laps that have been run tonight. Stenhouse, 45. Denny Hamlin, Elliott Sadler, Casey Kane has gotten up close to the front on occasion. And now, after a little strategy play, we find that Dillon and Reagan are in front of Menard and Stenhouse and Kane and Sadler as we get down to the final laps of this one. Sam Hornish Jr. had some troubles earlier in the race, but has rallied back to a nice run. He's in 9th right now, Vince.
With crew chief Chad Walter, you have rallied tonight, and it's been some tire management, some car management. What do you have left for these final 30 laps?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about tires here at Texas. Sam has been doing a really good job in the Worth Racing Penske Challenger. you know, we just put on our last set of tires and tried to tighten the car up a little bit to get going here for this last 30-lap run. I don't think there's going to be any more cautions. They've had a little troubles with the lights back there, but you know, you never know. There's some cars doing some different strategies here, and I think we have one of the strongest cars here. So we just need to keep our track position and hang around for the end, see what happens.
See how it plays out. AB?
Yeah, and Vince, just to clarify, I mentioned Sam had a little trouble earlier. He had just pitted under the green flag when the first caution of the race came out. He had to take a waiver out and then worked his way up from 19th into the top 5. And now finds himself again sitting in 9th position. So we've heard Austin Dillon's story. The other driver whose team elected to leave him on the racetrack and not pit was David Ragan. Mike?
And Wayne Grubb, Alan, before the race said their plan was to stay up front and hopefully be able to use strategy to win it. Seems like it's falling right into your lap in terms of strategy, but what needs to happen for this to work?
First off, David's doing an awesome job. We've been running right there at the top 10, so we figured we could stay out, save us a set of tires, hope for caution, about 10 to go, 15 to go, and we'll have fresher tires than the rest of the guys and try to win it.
What have you told David for this restart?
He knows the deal. He's a good shoe, and he's just going to drive his butt off.
Alan, 2017, trying to roll the dice and perhaps steal a win here in Texas.
Interesting perspectives there, because you just heard Sam Hornish's crew chief say, I don't think there's going to be any more cautions. Just heard Wayne Grubb say, well, we hope there's going to be another caution because that'll play in our favor. And you're going to have this field bunched up tightly together. The intensity of the restarts that we've seen tonight.
You're going to have a chance for another caution, I promise.
Yeah. Could be interesting.
Even at that, I don't think that they're going to have enough laps to put those tires on and come from as far back, because we have 16 cars on the lead lap right now. I think it's going to make that strategy way more difficult, because these drivers that put on tires this time aren't going to have that many laps because of the number of laps we've run under caution here.
All right, field has gotten the 1 to go signal. We will go racing next time with 28 laps to go. Austin Dillon on those older tires, getting ready to lead this field back to the restart.
Just don't let them let you get 3 wide here, Austin.
I'm going to do all I can.
When this thing goes back, if you choose the outside, you'll have the 27 on the inside, the 33 will be behind him, the 6 will be behind you, so you just protect that top. Just protect that top, getting into 1, and, you know, he's going to, you know how he is, so you'll be fine. You'll be fine here. Just do all you can do.
Well, Dillon has chosen the inside lane for the restart.
I don't know if he's confused, but I am. But I think he might not be 3 wide. He might be 4 wide, because I think they're planning on Ricky Stenhouse in the 6 is going to go to the outside, and Paul Menard is going to go to the inside as quick as he can.
And if you're Menard, for example, you kind of consider that 3 to be a little bit of an obstacle in front of you, and you don't want to run him over, though, and cause a crash.
No, and the best place for Paul to do that is coming off of turn 2. That's always been a favorite spot of getting up and making a run as you come off turn 2, and he's got the fresh tires to do that.
28 laps to go. Let's see how it turns out. Denny Hamlin makes it 3 wide, 4 wide. Hornish to the outside. Stenhouse finds a lane around Ragan.
And just what you were talking about there, Paul Menard gave Austin Dillon a real break there. He spun the tires a lot, bunched everything up, but Paul Menard didn't run over him at all.
Yikes.
Still 3 wide. Casey Kane battling his car through the trioval.
Menard 33, Stenhouse 6 for second spot. The longer they race side by side, the better opportunity it gives Dillon in the 3 to get away.
It does, because this is a time at this restart where these new tires would be the best. If they can run, 7, 8, 10 laps. It's going to kind of even that advantage out a little bit.
Yeah, right now,
25 to go.
Greg Carlton, he's doing a fantastic
18
job of
right
picking
on you.
Austin Dillon out front as these guys race for that second spot.
Whoa, Menard had to settle his car into 3, and Stenhouse drove his into the corner. He gets clear now. 25 to go.
That was an important pass for Ricky Stenhouse to get by Menard at that point in time. That might lead to be the winning pass, even though he hasn't passed the leader yet.
I don't think Paul's done either.
That's what I was just going to say. I don't think Paul's going to give up on that inside line. We've seen Stenhouse need to move up and use the outside line, but when he does that, he's going to risk opening the inside lane up for Menard.
The one thing that Stenhouse is going to have happen here, though, his car's been tight. If he gets in, he's good. Looks like he's going to drive up to the back bumper of Dillon. That's where you've seen his car get real tight. That might be an opportunity for Menard. Well, so, it looks like he's got a run here, though.
Dillon slipped off a 2. And the lead goes to Stenhouse. Now Menard.
All right, drive it away here. Hit your marks. Nice and smooth.
But, Stenhouse did a great job right there of pouncing on Dillon when he had just that little hiccup.
Now Menard needs to get clear of Dillon quickly if he's going to have a chance. And he does. Kane, 3rd place, 38. Denny Hamlin right there in the 18. And Austin Dillon just hanging on.
Looks like they may have made this 18 car a little bit better for Denny Hamlin now. He really fell off after the last restart that we had earlier. Looks like this adjustment's working well for him.
This is 3rd, 4th, 5th. Allgaier there in 6th.
I think the only thing Dillon can do now is just hope for a caution. It looks like that'd be the only thing that would help him. He could come in and get that set of tires. He's the only one that has a set of tires.
Yeah, and it really needs to happen much sooner than later to give him a chance to get back up through traffic. But he has a fast enough car to make up a lot of spots if that would happen.
Yeah, these leaders are still running really fast lap times. Last lap by for Stenhouse was a 30.60.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the hope for Roush Fenway Racing to extend their streak of winning here at Texas Motor Speedway in the Nationwide Series. They won the last 3 straight coming into tonight. Stenhouse led a chunk of laps early in the race, came down pit road for a stop at lap 48. They had trouble on the right front, went back to 6th position, and has struggled to get back to the point where he could get the opportunity to get the lead. Now he's got the lead in the closing laps.
Well, one of the things he struggled with is a tight race car. You put that tight car back in traffic, and it makes it worse. And Stenhouse, he was very aggressive right there to get that track position, get that clean air on the nose, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing that Paul's fighting now. I don't think he can beat the 6 car with that clean air on the nose.
Barely breathing that throttle.
Yeah, he was 1 against 42 to make this streak continue, but they must have the right man in the seat to get it done. Since 6 of the last 8, going back to last year when Sam Hornish, I believe, won at Phoenix. They've won 6 of these last 8. These guys aren't, they realize now, and they're in situations to where they have these cars with these Cup affiliated teams, and they've got the talent and the crews to get the job done, and they're doing it.
Hamlin going to have enough to slide up in front of him?
I think he does this time.
He's going to have a big run coming back at him, but I don't think that he'll be able to get to him. In case he needed more laps. His car is just so fast at the end of these runs, but it takes just a long time because he's just running that high line the entire time and giving up too much time with these drivers on the bottom.
Ryan Truex, unscheduled stop, Vince.
Well, one of the concerns they've had at the gauges have not been working on that car for quite some time, and Truex radioed in a moment ago, said all of a sudden we're spewing water, and now he believes it's blowing up, so they brought him to pit lane. Not a good finish for the 09 and Ryan Truex.
He was 14th before the pit stop, Vince. Not going to be the night that he hoped for. Turning into the night that he hoped for, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now led more laps in the 2 races on a 1.5-mile track this season than he had in his previous 22 starts on the 1.5-mile tracks. And why is that important? Well, because there are 12 races on 1.5-mile tracks this year. That's a third of the schedule. And you better be good on this size and configuration track if you want to be a champion.
Yeah, and they were solid there on these 1.5 miles last year in winning the championship, but they weren't outstanding. Now they're becoming outstanding. They're just making themselves a much more rounded team, and Ricky a much more rounded driver to show everyone that he's ready to win on whatever track that they might be going to.
Kane and Hamlin still going at it. Give it back to Casey Kane. Elliott Sadler going by Austin Dillon for 6th.
Trying to go by Austin Dillon.
Yeah, the 2-car of Elliott Sadler got really shuffled back quite a bit on that last restart, and he's just having to try to make up as much ground as he possibly can now at the end of this race.
Yellow's out.
That is Kurt Busch, and the caution is out.
I get caught up. Bring it to us here. We blew up, Beam.
It's the 3rd Toyota engine we've seen blow up tonight.
Brian Scott and Ryan Truex also. Something for those folks to think about. Kurt running 15th at the time. Got caught by the caution after the green flag pit stop earlier. Got back onto the lead lap, and then
there she goes. Well, we'll see another restart.
All right, so Austin Dillon didn't pit under the last caution, would be the one, along with David Reagan, of the leaders to have a set of tires left in his pit.
He's got a decision to make, though. He's kind of stabilized right there in 6th spot. Don't know that he would lose many more spots. I don't know that he can't gain any more, though, with the tires he has. Be a gamble either way.
So we'll see what happens here.
I think he's got some cars, as you mentioned, David Reagan, Danica Patrick there, that are going to come get tires also. So he's not going to be back as far. Yeah, I think it's worth the gamble to put him on and see what he can make.
Well, we're having a Friday night race. We'll have some Friday night fights coming up next as soon as we're done here in Texas. 12 laps to go.
Oh, I thought you were seeing into the future about
I
this
thought maybe we'll
restart
have
or
him here.
something. I didn't know.
Well, let's see. Well, we had a fight on the back straightaway, or a shoving match anyway.
That has happened here. That's right.
Recently.
Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton.
Yeah. So, you know, anything's possible.
I'm with you, Dale. I think I like getting tires for Austin Dillon because it puts him more on offense than to try to be on defense on these restarts. And he might be able to get, I for sure think he could probably get back to 6th here if they have enough laps, and maybe a lot more.
Well, pit road is still closed, so
another lap to think about that decision.
That's right, yeah, and it might help make their decision even easier if this is going to take a while, if there was fluids put down. I know there's a lot of smoke there, but I don't know if anything actually on the track.
Of course, the 54 Kyle Busch Motorsports team running for that team championship, the owner points, so they want to finish the race if they can. But NASCAR spotters around the racetrack said that the car was leaking fluid and asked him to pull it off, and he did on the back straightaway, stopping there. And so they have to remove the car and clean up any of the liquid that might have been put down. Tough break there, and you can see what a hard, difficult night it was for Kurt behind the wheel of that car just to have it end that way.
Yeah, certainly not what they expected. You know, they had some time off, as Andy pointed out earlier, did some testing, got like a new car here. Still just didn't work out like they wanted to and be as competitive as they wanted to be.
And you can see the streak there from where the car came to rest of the fluid that was trailing behind it.
Well, they just didn't want him to drive it all the way around the track and have to clean up, even more mess, take longer to get back green.
All right, pit road's going to be open here. Joey Logano, by the way, lost a lap with an extended pit stop under the caution wrapped around the red flag. He gets the free pass here. He'll come back onto the lead lap. Not the night that Logano was hoping for.
Looks like Austin Dillon's going to stay out. He's not even looking at pit road.
Dale Jr. is. David Reagan is. Mike?
Yeah, and you heard his crew chief, Wayne Grubb, tell us that this is exactly what they wanted to see happen. They wanted a caution in the last 15 laps. They've gotten it. They're going to make a 4-tire change and then dig for all they can get. They did fall all the way back to 12th, though, so it may be tough. Meanwhile, the 5-car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was also in. They took 4 scuffs and are hoping that makes the car a little bit better. It was tight just before they came down pit road.
So looking at the case for the 3, my best run at it would be there's only 10 laps to go, and with liquid on the racetrack and needing a few more laps to clean it up, they just weren't going to have enough time left.
Maybe less than 10 laps, and like I said, they had kind of stabilized in 6th place.
Staying out here, stay out.
It was a gamble either way.
Or that had tires left, so anybody that pitted right there had no tires to put on.
Jamie?
Well, Richard Childress got on the radio and told Austin Dillon and the team, it's up to you guys, you make the call. So they said, well, we'll come in and we'll take our last set of stickers. Well, last minute, Danny Stockman made the call and said, stay out. There's just not enough time. It's not going to do us any good at this point.
Cowboy up.
Well, the circumstances have not played to the favor of Austin Dillon and the 3 cars so far tonight. Little difficulty on the pit lane for Danica Patrick a second ago.
Right here, baby, right here, quote. Get the roll, back up, fine. Make sure the right front tire's in the box. Good job.
So I went past it, sorry about that.
All right.
One of those things that you learn.
Lead lap in 13th position for Danica. Got the free pass on the preceding caution.
It's better to make that mistake now. It didn't really cost her that much in a situation that's close to where she had fallen back to before that, so she'll be fine.
Well, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. probably did not want to see that last caution flag. I'll bet his crew chief Mike Kelly didn't want to see it either, Jamie.
No, they didn't want to see that caution. But after this last round of stops, Mike actually made the call not to make any adjustments, and Ricky wasn't too happy with it. Seemed to be the right call. How's the car right now?
He says the car is really good. It's been a tough night with us on the car. It's been back and forth. We've been tight and we've been loose, and just making small adjustments. I know any driver who's not leading, I'm sure he wants to hear his crew chief made some adjustments. So we look at data and we look at what the track's doing, and based on how many laps we had left, I made a calculated decision. It hasn't paid off yet. We've still got 8 or 9 laps to go, but I like my chances with Ricky out front.
All right, let's talk about this restart. What do you think we're going to see here? Is he going to go on the inside? I saw him just duck to the inside. What are we going to see?
I'm hoping you see the 6 car check out here and get a win for Pure Michigan and Ford and for Jack and all these guys in the Newport here, but still got 8 laps to go.
All right, let's see what happens, Alan.
1 to go has been given. We're coming down to the restart.
Well, we've seen these be an adventure for Ricky Stenhouse, and certainly this is one of those situations where you have hot tires, you've got a flat front straightaway. Trying to get these tires hooked up and get going can be difficult.
He shows in that inside. I kind of thought he might choose the outside because his car's been working pretty good up there. On the other hand, he does put Paul on the outside where he's been better on the inside.
I think that's more the case probably. And I think for a few laps at least the inside is the preferred line around here.
There's the guy I'm going to be watching, Casey Kane in the 38. He is going to get aggressive. He's going to put that car 3 wide on the bottom, and it's going to be some kind of exciting through 1 and 2.
You heard it here first.
Well, they have just waved off the restart.
Waving it off here.
And we're going to get the one to go again, which will leave us 6 laps to go in the race. Vince?
With the crew chief of the 31 of Justin Allgaier, that's Jimmy Elledge. And, boy, you guys have had an eventful night tonight, but you're sitting good. 5th spot. You playing offense or defense here?
I don't know, maybe a little bit of both. Our Branch Chevy's been good tonight. We haven't been great. We just haven't quite hit the balance. You know, we've been a little free in, tight in the middle, and battling loose off all night. But he's done a great job on restarts so far all night to get us in the positions that we've been in. We just need one more and about 7 clean laps here, and we can get us a good top 5, get some points.
You guys have had some bad breaks. At this point, you're sitting good for a strong finish was exactly what you need. How much do you gamble at this point? How aggressive do you get, or would you rather see him maybe play it a little safer?
Well, I mean, we got to finish, you know, so I mean, you got to go at the same time, too. If you get to being too cautious, you're going to get run over. So we just need a good, clean start here and get it lined out and get these last 5 laps in and get some points because of this poor start we've had this year. So see what happens. It should get exciting.
In the hands of the driver, AB.
So cautiously aggressive, is that what he's got to be?
Yeah. I said that to Schrader one night at Bristol. He said, hey, bud, I can either go real fast or be real careful. Which one do you want?
We've seen this inside lane go and the outside lane not. We've seen the leader not go, and they get 3 wide into turn 1. Denny Hamlin, outside row 2. Does he try to jump to the outside of Menard here and make it 3 wide before Kane can make it 3 wide the other way?
I think that he stays on the bumper of Paul Menard and tries to push his way there and then try to settle it between the 2 of them.
Going to have 6 laps of racing to find out how it all plays out. Friday night, under the lights in Texas, about to fight it out for the win. Who gets it?
Green.
3 wide, Hamlin to the outside. Austin Dillon on his bumper. Menard shuffled back in the center. Stenhouse to the lead.
Hey, Casey Kane on the bottom 3 wide, just like you said. Just not for the lead.
Half a lap too late. Denny Hamlin digging down low. Can he get alongside? And then can he get by?
First thing, Stenhouse did a great job on that restart, but Hamlin was ready to go, actually pushing Paul Menard, who was spinning his tires. Menard might not be done yet, though.
Oh, that was close.
Clear, all clear. Hit your marks.
Stenhouse drove that car through the center of 1 and 2 to try and edge Hamlin off that corner.
Yeah, Menard needed them to stay side by side for another lap or so. Really have an opportunity to get up there on their bumper.
I'm impressed with Austin Dillon. With those older tires, he's moved up a spot for the restart. Danica's got new tires, making a charge.
Well, they made a great call to leave her out there and then come get the fresh tires.
Here comes Menard trying to get second from Hamlin. Menard 33, Hamlin 18. That's just what Stenhouse wanted to see in his mirror.
You can just hear that car hitting the ground. Casey Kane.
Whoa, that was close. Reagan 27 with fresh tires. Patrick 7 with fresh tires, trying to dig up through the traffic.
That's a great move right there.
3 wide in the middle. Take it. 3 wide in the middle.
Cole in on the outside, hanging in the 88.
That's a nice job by Danica Patrick, though, being put in that difficult situation. See, she hung right there.
I don't think she's done.
Get all we can here. Got no pressure out the back. Don't overdrive it here. Get all we can. White flag here. No pressure out the back.
Final lap for Stenhouse. The early leader fell back, worked his way back to the front, had a lead, caution wave, took his lead away. He managed to get away on the final restart. The defending series champ is going to extend Roush Fenway Racing's win streak in the Nationwide Series at this track to 4. Second win of the season. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. takes it.
Not only took the win, but he's going to make a big gain in the points as Elliott Sadler had trouble and finished outside the top 10 in 12th spot.
Nice charge by David Reagan coming up to 6th place with his new tire.
Cowboy hats, we're getting cowboy hats! Woo! Happy birthday there, Mike. Thank you, Pure Michigan, Jack, everybody on this team.
Well, 2 races on a 1.5-mile track in this 2012 season. 2 wins for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Broader scope, 6 races this season. 2 wins for Sadler, 2 wins for Stenhouse, 1 win for a Sprint Cup regular. And they're getting those cowboy hats out in Victory Lane. I think Mike Kelly will look good in one, don't you think, Dave?
I think they've got a cowboy hat that will fit him. Your boy's been criticized before for his restarts. What do you think about that last one?
And I think he's done a tremendous job all year. We've had, I think, 1 bad restart. And it might have been earlier tonight, but what a way to bounce back. I'm so happy for this Pure Michigan, happy for Ford, happy for Jack Roush. It's been a long time since we've been to the track without the 60 car, and we feel like we're taking care of the flagship now, and we got to come here, and we got to produce, and we got to win, and just can't thank Jack and Robbie and the guys back in the shop, and all the family lets us do what we get to do. It's an awesome deal.
Got the job done. That Roush Fenway streak here, Alan, it's still alive.
4 straight. Young man with a lot of talent.
Took the words right out of my mouth there, Alan. He does have a lot of talent. And man, has he learned over the last 18 months how to really put that to use.
And a big win it is. Just the atmosphere of this racetrack. We started the night with the whole everything's bigger in Texas. Well, the pre-race ceremony, the Victory Lane ceremony, the atmosphere of the whole weekend, the atmosphere of the city and the way it wraps its arms around the races. It's a big win for a driver to take one of these victories.
Yeah, it really is. And because it says Texas, that's one thing. The other is, as a driver, you know how difficult this racetrack is to negotiate, and when you win here, it's a great feeling of accomplishment.
Well, while Stenhouse makes his way to Victory Lane, let's hear from some of the other top finishers. Second place for Paul Menard tonight, Vince.
And a frustrated look on Paul's face when he climbed out of the car. 100 laps led tonight, but what was the difference there at the end on that final restart?
Man, I can say that I let one get away there. Car's so fast all night, and instead of the last restart, and I kept up with Ricky good, and we both kind of spun our tires a little bit, but when Denny got to the outside of me, it just killed all my momentum. Happened earlier in the race, get caught in the middle, and he just can't go anywhere. And man, it's frustrating. Ernie built a hell of a car, though, and it's a lot of fun. Reed Menard Chevy was probably the fastest car here, and it should be in Victory Lane, but we'll go get them.
Thanks, Paul. Second place, Paul Menard. AB.
Vince, thanks.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Paul really expected to win here, and he did have the best car. It's hard, it's hard to be disappointed with second, but when you're shooting a little higher than that, I can see why he's disappointed.
I'm just really impressed with Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, he got the job done on the restart, got it done whenever he needed to. He started this race out pulling off and leaving everybody early on. Had to work on the car a little bit, but really got up on the wheel when it counted.
And by the way, we've talked about sponsorships and Roush Fenway Racing keeping Trevor Bayne out of tonight's race, and this car still has some room on it for this season. This driver's team is not fully funded, and 2 wins and 6 tries this year, and the defending series champ. He's given his team every bit of ammunition they might want to go out there and market this operation.
Yeah, he's doing his part. Him and Mike Kelly both.
Time for the big Victory Lane celebration in Texas, Jamie.
And a real cowboy is getting his cowboy hat in Victory Lane and brought his team with him. A lot of time and effort went into getting the balance right on this car, Ricky. I know you and your crew chief, Mike Kelly, spent a lot of time to get this car this good. What did it take?
Yeah, Mike Kelly is a great crew chief.
I complain a lot, but he gets the job done. Ford, Roush Yates, Pure Michigan, first time they're on the car this weekend. Cargill, Valvoline, Oakley, just everybody that helps out with this. It's just a great effort. Now I guess we'll have to go get some Cargill beef steaks here in a minute to celebrate.
Well, I know after the last round of pit stops, you weren't happy to hear that they didn't make any adjustments. Did the car come to you, or did you just have to fight through how tight it was?
Yeah, I had a little nos in my water bottle there and stepped up and got it going there a little bit better. But, I wasn't sure about the no change there, but Mike Kelly knows what he's doing, and just glad to be a part of this race team.
Congratulations. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets his second win of the year. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. In a minute, they'll be handing out the cowboy hats and have the six-shooter celebration. There's the cat with his own hat, Jack Roush. Celebrating a fourth consecutive win for his team here at Texas Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Look at the top 10 finishers for the night. Denny Hamlin went from fighting for the lead with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. after that last restart to finishing fourth.
Austin Dillon, top 5 there with those older tires. Good job.
David Reagan 6th, Danica Patrick 8th after the run on the fresh tires from the last pit stops, and Steve Arpin with a top 10 for Turner Motorsports, the Texas-based team. Michael?
Little pit strategy by Tony Eury Jr. and Danica Patrick had a great race car for those last 8 laps. What do you think of that strategy, and what were those last laps like?
Well, I think that it really came from the last 2 stops, because Tony made some good changes on the second to last stop. Unfortunately, with getting in and out of pit lane, and I'm sure something that I did was dropped us back onto the to be a lap down. But I mean, I was running good pace, and then when I got back out there at the tail end of the field, I had passed all the cars to get back to the leaders again. So I think it was the last 2 changes that were good. It was really good on the last restart though, and it was nice to know you have new tires. And so Tony Jr. made a great call to save them like that, and it was a lot of fun. It's always quite chaotic, especially when you have such great tires and with everyone around you, and it's too wide. You're frustrated, and you want to get by them. You're like, hold me up. I've got these new tires. So I got just a tiny push at the end, but all in all, it's nice to have a good finish for the team, for GoDaddy, for everybody that works really hard. We've kind of had a tough going to the start of this year, so that was fun.
You can hear the excitement in Danica's voice. An 8th place finish, her best this year, Vince.
3rd place for Casey Kane tonight, and on the long run, I don't know if there's anybody better than the car you had out there tonight. Just couldn't get a long one at the end.
Yeah, we had Turner Motorsports, and all the guys have done an awesome job to get this great Clip Chevrolet as fast as it is. And the track was awesome tonight. The tire was great. You could run anywhere from the bottom to the top. And the longer the runs went, we would get faster, and I could see the leaders coming back. But we didn't take off quite as fast as, I'd say, Paul in the 6th. Ricky wins it, and he ran 2nd. But it was those 2 were restarting pretty slow, and I was eating them up, and then we all got kind of crazy there with 3-4 to go. But it ended up being a good night for us.
Yeah, had fun. Good show. Casey Kane, 3rd place tonight.
So for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, after they wrap up the celebration tonight in Texas, it's an off week next week. Then in a couple of weeks from tonight, Friday night under the lights at Richmond, Virginia, 7 Eastern, April 27th on ESPN2. Up next, Friday Night Fights, presented by Corona Extra from the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. 6 races into the NASCAR Nationwide Series season so far. 2 wins for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 2 wins for Elliott Sadler. Sprint Cup regulars, 1 win. And the show continues 2 weeks from tonight in Richmond.